Some restaurants in New York serve more than just food. They serve whispers from the past. They serve shadows sitting quietly at the empty tables. They serve guests who never truly leave. Imagine walking into a dimly lit restaurant. The aroma of old spices mixes with the scent of something unseen. Silverware clinks on tables where no one is dining. Footsteps echo across the floor, but no one approaches. Tonight, we are stepping into 25 of New York's most haunted restaurants. Places where waiters never clock out. Places where diners feel icy hands brushing their shoulders. Places where the past sits quietly, watching, waiting, never letting go. Take a deep breath, because after tonight, you may never look at a restaurant the same way again. Greetings, my friend. I hope you are somewhere safe, somewhere warm, with lights close enough to reach if the shadows get too close. Tonight, we are leaving behind ordinary dining experiences. We are entering a New York where history lingers between the tables, where the clatter of dishes carries echoes of old conversations, and where the footsteps of ghostly waiters follow those who dare to dine. Each restaurant has its own story. Some tell of tragic accidents. Some whisper murders. Some remember guests who never left. Some diners feel a presence leaning over the shoulder. Some hear soft, urgent whispers between courses. Some see shadows glide across the walls, or hands reaching for silverware that moves on its own. Before we begin our haunted culinary journey, I want to ask you a question. If you could dine alone in any haunted restaurant in New York tonight, would you do it? And what ghostly encounter would you secretly hope or fear to witness? Share your answer in the comments if you dare. Your courage will be tested tonight. Now, take a slow breath. The candles flicker. The silverware clinks. And the first haunted restaurant awaits. The Frances Tavern stands as one of Manhattana's oldest buildings, its walls steeped in centuries of history. Brick and timber tell a story of a city in transformation, of revolutions fought and alliances forged. By day, it welcomes tourists and diners alike, offering warm food and a glimpse into colonial New York. But as night falls, the atmosphere shifts, and the taverna's long and layered past seems to stir from its slumber. Ghostly figures, dressed in colonial attire, are reported to appear among the dining tables. Some seem to move purposefully, while others pause, almost as if frozen in time, observing the room and its modern occupants. The figures blend seamlessly with the shadows of the tavern, appearing and disappearing like echoes of forgotten era. Visitors often feel sudden cold drafts, chilling the air without warning. The sensation is immediate and localized, sweeping across a single table or corridor before fading into warmth again. These drafts carry a quiet weight, a reminder that the taverna's past is never fully absent. The contrast of warmth from candles and fireplaces with a sudden drop in temperature creates a sensory tension, reinforcing the sense that the space is shared with unseen presences. Soft footsteps echo along empty corridors, unaccompanied by any visible person. The sounds are deliberate, paced, and often follow the path of guests as they move from room to room. The creaks of aged wood and the occasional clink of glass lend a rhythm to the night. These sounds suggest activity just beyond the edge of perception, as if the tavern itself remains alive with memories of those who once walked its halls. The faint clink of mugs is another common occurrence, sometimes heard from tables left empty or from corners of the room where no one is present. Patrons often pause, glancing around to find the source, only to be met with silence. The echoes serve as a reminder of the taverna's enduring role as a gathering place, where spirits of the past continue to mingle with the living. Many say that the taverna's first owners still move quietly through the halls, tending to invisible guests, and preserving traditions from centuries ago. Their presence is not threatening, but attentive, as if the routines of daily life from another time have never fully ended. Objects may shift subtly, a chair moves slightly from its original position, or a candle flickering without cause, small gestures that signal attention from unseen hands. The taverna-esque architecture enhances the atmosphere of mystery. Fireplaces and lanterns cast dancing shadows that blur the lines between history and the present. Each corner and corridor hold the potential for unexpected encounters. And the interplay of light and shadow makes a historic space feel alive with layers of unseen activity. Guests often describe a sensation of being observed, a quiet awareness that they are not alone even in the absence of visible figures. It is an impression that lingers long after a visit, a feeling that the stories and spirits of the tavern are woven into the very structure of the building. This awareness blends with the historical significance of the space, creating an immersive experience where past and present coexist in subtle, almost tangible ways. Even routine activities are touched by the taverna as spectral presence. Servers moving between tables may feel a sudden tug or shift in weight. Glasses may resonate softly without contact, and hallways may seem to stretch longer than expected. These anomalies are never violent or threatening, but they leave a persistent sense that the environment holds secrets beyond immediate understanding. The Frances Tavern remains a testament to endurance and memory. Its walls contain stories of revolution, community, and daily life, preserved through architecture, artifacts, and the collective consciousness of those who have passed through. For visitors, the experience is multi-layered, combining historical insight with a thrill of subtle paranormal phenomena. Every creak, draft, and shadow contributes to a narrative that spans centuries, connecting modern patrons with the echoes of New York's colonial past. As the evening deepens, the tavern grows quiet, yet the sense of presence persists. Ghostly figures, whispered footsteps, and faint sounds mingle with the scent of aged wood and simmering meals. The building's history and its spectral elements create an atmosphere that is both engaging and contemplative, inviting visitors to reflect on the passage of time and the enduring imprint of those who came before. The Frances Tavern is more than a restaurant or historic landmark. It is a living story, a convergence of past and present, where history is not only remembered but experienced. Its ghosts are not frightening, but they are insistent. A reminder that some stories cannot be confined to books or plaques. They linger, serving invisible guests, pacing corridors, and marking the passage of time in quiet, subtle ways that enrich every visit with a sense of wonder and timeless mystery. Every encounter, whether a whisper of shadow or a fleeting glimpse, becomes part of the ongoing narrative of the tavern. The building itself holds memory, and those who enter become participants in a story that stretches back centuries. Visitors leave with a heightened awareness of the layers of history around them, a recognition that in places like the Frances Tavern, the past is never truly gone, and the unseen companions of history continue to share the space with the living. McSorley's old ale house sits quietly on a narrow street in Manhattan, its brick FAA section Ade, and vintage windows hinting at over a century of stories. Inside, the air is thick with the aroma of aged wood, ale, and history itself. The bar has witnessed generations of patrons, from laborers and writers to artists and politicians, each leaving a mark upon its worn floors and polished counters. Yet beneath the lively conversations and clinking glasses, there lingers an atmosphere that feels older, quieter, and strangely aware. Visitors often notice subtle sounds that seem out of place. Whispers drift above the bar, soft and indistinct, as though carrying fragments of conversations long past. Footsteps echo across the creaking wooden floors, yet when eyes are cast toward the source, no one is visible. These auditory impressions are fleeting but persistent, leaving a sensation that the space itself remembers, that it holds the presence of those who have passed through its doors over the decades. Glasses sometimes slide across counters without apparent cause. A slight nudge, a faint vibration, or no observable reason at all seems to send them moving, catching the attention of staff and patrons alike. The phenomenon is subtle but unmistakable, a quiet reminder that McSorley's old ale house is more than a simple bar. The energy of the place seems to linger, interacting with those who enter and lending a sense of mystery to the familiar surroundings. The energy of the place seems to linger, interacting with those who enter lending a sense of mystery to the familiar surroundings. The energy of the place is palpable. A sense of mystery and unease settles over the patrons. A faint, unsettling feeling lingers in the air. A reminder that McSorley's Old Ale House is more than a simple bar. A place where the veil between worlds is thin, where the fabric of reality is stretched thin. A place where the unknown lurks. A place of mystery and unease, where the line between reality and madness blurs. A place where the unknown exerts its influence, where the darkness seeps in. Some have glimpsed a shadowy figure behind the bar, a bartender outlined in dim light, moving deliberately to polish mugs or arrange bottles. Yet when approached, the figure vanishes, leaving only the empty bar and the faint reflection in the worn mirrors. This presence is described as calm and purposeful, as if tending to the space in a routine that transcends time. The encounter leaves a subtle impression, one that is more contemplative than frightening, a sense of continuity bridging past and present. The wooden floors of McSorley's creak in ways that seem alive, responding to footsteps that are not entirely human. Patrons often feel a gentle pressure in the air, as though someone unseen has brushed past or settled nearby. Shadows shift along the walls and ceiling, sometimes taking shapes that suggest movement or attention. The dim lighting accentuates these impressions, blending with the rich, historical copyright COR to create an immersive environment that feels at once familiar and otherworldly. The bar itself is steeped in stories. Each beam, counter, and mirror carries memory, echoes of laughter, conversation, and sorrow that have passed through the establishment. Patrons report feelings of being watched, though no one is present. A sense of presence, quiet and deliberate, can settle over a table or stool, lingering in the periphery of perception. It is this combination of history and subtle interaction that gives McSorley's its haunting reputation, a place where the past seems to move alongside the present. A place where the past seems to move alongside the present. Even the walls seem to contribute to the atmosphere. Decorated with vintage photographs, memorabilia, and aging wood. Some claim to notice small movements within the photographs. Shadows that shift slightly when not being observed. The effect is subtle, more suggestive than overt, encouraging attentiveness and curiosity rather than fear. Each detail draws visitors deeper into the narrative of the bar, blending observation with imagination. The energy of McSorley's extends beyond the bar itself. The narrow entryways, the long, worn corridors, and the occasional empty room create spaces where the quiet hum of history becomes almost tangible. Patrons feel the contrast between lively conversation and the hushed presence that permeates the air. These layers of experience combine, one where every sound, shadow, and reflection carries the weight of memory and subtle mystery. Travelers and locals alike leave McSorley's with impressions that linger. The whispers, the sliding glasses, and the shadowy figure behind the bar create a narrative that is personal yet intangible. It is a quiet haunting, one that does not frighten but instead evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The bar becomes more than a place to drink. It transforms into a living archive of history, memory, and presence. A connection to the past. One that evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The whispers, the sliding glasses, and the shadowy figure behind the bar create a narrative that is personal yet intangible. It is a quiet haunting, one that does not frighten, but instead evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The bar becomes more than a place to drink. It transforms into a living archive of history, memory, and presence. A connection to the past. One that evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The bar becomes more than a place to drink. It transforms into a living archive of history, memory, and presence. A connection to the past. One that evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The whispers, the sliding glasses, and the shadowy figure behind the bar create a narrative that is personal yet intangible. It is a quiet haunting, one that does not frighten but instead evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The bar becomes more than a place to drink. It transforms into a living archive of history, memory, and presence, a connection to the past. One that evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The bar becomes more than a place to drink. It transforms into a living archive of history, memory, and presence, a connection to the past. One that evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to the past. The whispers, the sliding glasses, and the shadowy figure behind the bar create a narrative that is personal yet intangible. It is a quiet haunting, one that does not frighten but instead evokes reflection, curiosity, and a connection to past. The bar becomes more than a place to drink. It transforms into a living archive of history, memory, and presence. By morning, when the streets of Manhattan are alive with activity, Mxorlia S sits quietly, waiting for the next visitors to step across its threshold. The sounds and shadows of the night fade with the sunlight, yet the essence of the place endures. Each patron becomes part of a continuum, a chain of human experience and subtle presence that stretches back generations. Mxorlia's old alehouse remains a space where history and hauntings intertwine, a living testament to the stories, energy, and mysteries that endure within its walls. Every visit to Mxorlia's old alehouse is a journey through time, observation, and subtle phenomena. The bar invites those who enter to notice, to reflect, and to participate in the quiet interplay between the past and present. Footsteps, whispers, and shifting shadows all contribute to an experience that is immersive, atmospheric, and unforgettable. Visitors leave with more than the taste of ale or the comfort of a familiar bar. They carry the memory of a place alive with history, presence, and quiet mystery that continues to linger long after the doors are closed. Delmonicoa sits quietly in Manhattan, a space steeped in history and tradition. Its high ceilings and polished floors create an atmosphere of elegance and refinement. The lighting casts warm shadows across the dining room, highlighting the ornate details of the tables, chairs, and bar. Yet beneath the sophistication lies a layer of mystery, a subtle presence that some visitors sense immediately upon entering. Guests report seeing figures seated at tables, dressed in period attire, engaged in conversations that vanish as soon as attention is directed toward them. Empty chairs and tables feel temporarily occupied, a fleeting reminder of the restaurant's long history, and the people who once dined there. These spectral patrons appear briefly, only to dissolve into the atmosphere, leaving behind an echo of presence that is both intriguing and unsettling. Cold spots appear unpredictably throughout the dining room. The air drops suddenly in temperature, brushing against the skin like a faint whisper. These chills are often reported near tables or corners that seem otherwise ordinary, intensifying the feeling that the space itself holds memory. Guests sometimes pause mid-meal, feeling an inexplicable awareness that someone or something is observing them from just beyond sight. Staff members have their own encounters, yet no one is nearby. These occurrences are not threatening, but carry a weight of history. The restaurant's elegant decor makes each visit a sensory experience that engages both the mind and the imagination. The dining room's architecture enhances the atmosphere. Evening light casts long patterns across the floors, and the rich wooden panels create shadows and reflections that shift with movement and light. Shadows sometimes appear to move independently of their sources, forming shapes that resemble the figures guests report, further blending the boundary between the physical and the unexplained. Every corner of Delmonicoa carries echoes of the past. The bar area hums with history, its polished surfaces reflecting the dim glow of wall sconces. The clink of glasses and faint footsteps, real or imagined, combine with the restaurant's natural acoustics to create a subtle soundscape that feels alive with presence. Visitors often describe the sensation of being momentarily transported, as if the dining room itself is bridging decades of time. The restaurant's long history contributes to its aura. Decades of patrons, staff, and events have left traces within the walls, and these traces are felt in subtle ways. A table may feel slightly colder than others, a chair may tilt as if recently vacated, and brief glimpses of figures can appear at the edge of vision. These small yet persistent experiences create a narrative that is woven into the space itself, connecting past and present in a continuous, living story. Delmonicoa's quiet corners are especially notable. Private dining rooms and secluded nooks seem to hold more energy, where movements and sounds are more easily perceived. Guests report occasional soft whispers, the faintest sense of presence, or fleeting shapes in peripheral vision. The combination of intimate architecture and layered history amplifies the sensation that the restaurant is more than just a place to eat, but a vessel containing countless stories and moments from the past. Even the restaurant staff acknowledges a rhythm to these phenomena. Events are often subtle and irregular, emerging in moments of stillness or quiet activity. The falling of silverware, the shifting of chairs, and the passing cold spots occur without pattern, creating a sense of unpredictability that keeps the experience engaging. Staff members describe these moments not as frightening, but as reminders of the building's depth and character, and of the echoes that remain long after the original occupants have gone. Lighting plays a crucial role in shaping perception. Evening shadows stretch across the floors and walls, interacting with reflections and the architecture to create movement where none exists. Candlelight flickers across polished wood, and chandeliers scatter light in soft patterns that shift with the slightest motion. These visual effects enhance the dining experience, making the space feel layered and alive, and reinforcing the subtle sense of presence that visitors report. Delmonicoa's is more than a restaurant. It is a living archive of Manhattana's social and cultural history. Every table, chair, and hallway holds memory, and every subtle disturbance becomes part of the ongoing story. Guests, whether aware of it or not, encounter moments where the boundary between past and present feels permeable, and the restaurant transforms into a place where history and mystery coexist. The combination of architecture, ambience, and unseen presence makes each visit unique. The dining room's elegance is complemented by fleeting glimpses of figures, unexpected chills, and sound that cannot be explained. These subtle phenomena encourage awareness, reflection, and curiosity, creating an immersive experience that is both memorable and atmospheric. Even routine visits to Delmonicoa's take on a heightened dimension. Patrons may feel observed, experience sudden cold drafts, or notice objects moving seemingly on their own. Each occurrence contributes to the sense that the restaurant is alive with echoes, bridging decades of history, and preserving the memory of countless meals, conversations, and lives. Walking through Delmonico's is a journey into layered history. Shadows, sounds, and subtle movements transform ordinary spaces into cinematic environments. Guests and staff alike participate in an ongoing narrative, where every moment of quiet observation can reveal traces of the past, and where the restaurant's elegance coexists with the enigmatic presence that lingers in every room. Delmonico's remains a place where sophistication meets mystery, where the energy of the past continues to shape the present. Every visit offers the possibility of glimpsing a figure at a table, feeling an unexpected chill, or hearing the soft clatter of silverware. These experiences are subtle yet profound, creating a dining environment that is immersive, captivating, and unforgettable. The restaurant embodies both Manhattana's cultural history and the timeless nature of unexplained presence. Its polished floors, ornate tables, and historic decor combine with shadows, cold spots, and fleeting figures to create a space that is cinematic, atmospheric, and alive with memory. Delmonicoa's invites exploration, observation, and reflection, offering an experience where every visit is enriched by the whispers of the past and the subtle presence of those who remain unseen. The Eerie sits tucked into a quiet corner of Manhattan, a cozy tavern, a charming spot for locals and visitors alike, offering warmth, drinks, and conversation. Sunlight filters through the windows, highlighting the worn wooden floors and aged furniture, telling stories of countless gatherings over time. Yet beneath this welcoming exterior lies a depth of history, and some say that the tavern carries more than just human memories within its walls. Footsteps echo across the creaking floors in ways that cannot always be explained. Patrons often notice the sound of someone walking behind them, soft and deliberate, yet when they turn, there is no one there. The rhythm of the steps seems to follow the natural pattern of the tavern, moving from the bar to the corners of the room, pausing, and then fading into silence. It is a presence felt rather than seen, a subtle reminder of the taverna's long and layered past. Soft singing has been reported by visitors, often emanating from a corner of the room where no one is sitting. The melodies are faint, almost indistinguishable, and yet they carry a strange warmth, echoing in the space above the tables and booths. Guests describe the sound as comforting but slightly disorienting, a voice out of time that seems to belong to another era. It lingers in the air for moments, then vanishes, leaving only the hum of conversation and the clinking of glasses. Shadowy figures glide along the walls, seen by some in peripheral vision, or as fleeting movements that disappear when looked at directly. These apparitions are never threatening, yet their presence is undeniable. They move gracefully, as though following invisible paths, sometimes pausing near old doorways or the corners of the room. The shadows create a sense of history made tangible, as if the tavern itself remembers those who have passed through over the centuries. Some guests feel a subtle touch, a brushing presence as they sit at tables or eat their meals. It is never aggressive or alarming, but it is distinctly perceptible, a cool press of air or a gentle brush against the arm. These moments are brief yet unforgettable, leaving a lingering awareness that the space is more than it appears. Travelers and locals alike describe a heightened sense of connection to the tavern, a feeling that they share a room with unseen companions who are woven into the fabric of its history. The interior of the Eateries adds to its unique atmosphere. Exposed beams and brick walls give the space a historic charm, while the aged wood of floors and furniture resonates with every step, while the low lighting casts long shadows across the room. Emphasizing the flicker of candlelight and the gleam of polished surfaces. Every corner, nook, and alcove seems to hold a story, and visitors often sense that these stories are not entirely silent. Even the sounds of ordinary activity take on an unusual resonance within the tavern. The clink of glasses, the scraping of chairs, and the soft murmur of conversation blend with the echoes of footsteps and distant singing. The acoustics amplify subtle noises, making them appear closer or more deliberate. Patrons often feel that the tavern itself is listening, a living space where past and present interact in quiet, intricate ways. The history of the Eateries contributes to its haunting character. Established in the early 19th century, the tavern has seen generations of visitors, each leaving traces of their presence. Owners, patrons, and passers-by have all contributed to the energy that permeates the space. Some say that the footsteps, shadows, and whispers are remnants of these countless interactions, lingering in the tavern like echoes of memory, reminding visitors that the past is never fully gone. Visitors often report moments where the ordinary and extraordinary intersect. A casual glance into a corner might reveal movement that is gone the next instant. A sip of a drink may coincide with the faint sound of music or laughter from another time. The sensation is subtle but persistent, a blend of curiosity, tension, and fascination that draws people into the story of the tavern as much as its drinks or meals do. The tavern's energy is heightened during quiet hours, when fewer patrons are present and the usual hum of conversation is reduced. In these moments, footsteps are more pronounced, shadows appear more defined, and whispers carry further. Some say that late-night visitors experience the tavern at its most alive, encountering the space as it existed across decades, bridging centuries with every movement and sound. The Eateries is more than a tavern. It is a living record of Manhattana's layered history. Its creaking floors, soft singing, shadowy figures, and fleeting touches create an immersive experience that transcends time. Patrons leave with memories that linger, a sense of having shared space with something unseen yet undeniably present. The tavern continues to welcome visitors, offering warmth, history, and a quiet reminder that some places retain the whispers of those who came before, carrying secrets that are felt, heard, and remembered long after the candles are extinguished. Every visit to the Eateries is an encounter with history made tangible, a space where ordinary life and subtle mystery coexist. The footsteps, shadows, and whispers are part of an intricate atmosphere that has persisted for centuries, drawing the curious and the observant into its layered world. As patrons depart, the tavern remains, quietly holding the presence of its past within walls that have seen more than any single visitor could ever know. Keen's Steakhouse stands as a storied establishment in Manhattan, a place where history and legend intertwine. Its walls are lined with decades of memories, photographs, and the signatures of those who once dined in its private rooms. By day, it is a bustling restaurant, known for its rich menu and unique collection of clay pipes. By night, however, the atmosphere shifts, and the restaurant reveals a quieter, more mysterious side. The restaurant has fascinated visitors for generations. Some diners report hearing phantom laughter emanating from private rooms that are empty. The sound is soft yet distinct, echoing through the hallways and spilling into the main dining area. It is a laughter that does not belong to the present, carrying the cadence and tone of another era. Guests often pause, looking toward the closed doors, sensing a presence just beyond their vision, a reminder that the energy of the past still lingers within the restaurant. Old smoking pipes, long clear from tables, have been seen reappearing as if placed by invisible hands. These objects serve as tangible connections to the past, offering proof, however fleeting, that the legacy of the restaurant extends beyond what is visible or known. A ghostly man in a tuxedo is sometimes reported serving patrons silently. He moves with a quiet grace, his presence marked by a subtle chill that spreads through the air. Observers describe the feeling of being attended by someone who is not present, a figure who maintains the rituals of hospitality from another time. Plates and utensils remain untouched, yet the sense of service and attention is palpable, leaving diners with a lingering awareness of the restaurant's layered history. The architecture of Keen's adds to the enigmatic atmosphere. Dim lighting and the warm glow of candles enhance the contrast between the present and the echoes of the past. Each room feels like a microcosm of history, where ordinary objects and ordinary spaces are imbued with extraordinary stories waiting to be discovered by attentive visitors. The restaurant is steeped in tradition, and its collection of pipes is central to its identity. Hundreds of clay pipes hang from the ceilings and walls, each carrying the imprint of a patron from long ago. Some guests acclaim that the pipes move or shift ever so slightly, as if guided by unseen hands. The pipes become silent witnesses, symbols of the human presence that has long inhabited the space, offering both a connection to history and a touch of the supernatural. Sounds play an important role in the atmosphere of Keen's. Footsteps echo along wooden floors, sometimes following diners down hallways or into private rooms. Doors may creak or swing open on their own, while chairs shift slightly as if someone has just stood up. These occurrences are subtle, never threatening, yet they command attention, drawing awareness to the layers of life and activity that coexist in space, bridging the past and present. Guests often describe an acute awareness of being watched, a sense that the restaurant itself holds memories that observe quietly. The presence is not oppressive but attentive, a reminder that history and human experience have left a mark. Patrons report feeling the weight of invisible eyes, the subtle brush of air, and the impression that time is layered within the walls, each era leaving echoes that resonate with those who enter. The experience of dining at Keen's is immersive, engages the senses not only through taste and smell, but through perception and atmosphere, warm from the fireplaces and soft lighting, contrasts with sudden chills and unexplained movements. Each corner, hallway, and private room offers a potential for subtle encounters, moments where the ordinary act of dining becomes intertwined with the extraordinary presence of history and lingering spirits. Even ordinary moments are colored by the restaurant as spectral history. A glass may vibrate without contact, a shadow may pass along the edge of vision, or a whisper of conversation may be heard in silence. These experiences are never violent, yet they heighten the awareness of the space, creating a connection to those who came before. Patrons leave with a sense that the restaurant is more than a building. It is a living repository of human experience, attentive and observant in ways both subtle and profound. Keen's Steakhouse is a place where history breathes alongside the present. It embodies the traditions of hospitality, the passage of time, and the lingering presence of those who once dined and lived within its walls. Every footstep, every faint sound, and every glimpse of movement contributes to a narrative that stretches across decades, blending the ordinary with the extraordinary. The restaurant offers a window into another era, where guests may find themselves sharing a meal not only with friends or family, but with the echoes of history itself. Each visit becomes part of an ongoing story, a continuation of the legacy of Keen's. Phantom laughter, reappearing pipes, and the silent, tuxedoed figure all serve as reminders that the past is never truly gone. The restaurant's walls, corridors, and private rooms hold memory and presence, inviting patrons to experience the subtle intersection of history and mystery. In this way, Keen's Steakhouse remains not just a place to dine, but a place where the spirit of the past continues to serve, observe, and leave its mark on those who pass through. Tavern on the Green stands as an icon of elegance in Manhattan, its ivy-clad walls and ornate gardens drawing visitors from near and far. By day, the restaurant is alive with conversation, the clinking of glasses and the subtle rustle of leaves stirred by the wind. Light reflects off the carefully arranged tables, and the flowers in the gardens provide bursts of color against the backdrop of the city. Yet beneath this beauty lies a quiet, lingering presence that some have come to notice, a sense that the restaurant carries more than just the energy of its patrons. Guests often report seeing faint silhouettes moving among the garden tables. At first, the figures appear distant, almost like shifting shadows, blending with the surrounding foliage. When approached, they vanish without a trace, leaving the garden empty and the air still. These brief sightings are subtle, yet they create a lasting impression, a feeling that the gardens are not merely decorative, but a stage for something beyond ordinary perception. Inside, the atmosphere carries its own set of mysteries. Glasses and utensils occasionally move across tables without any human touch. Patrons sometimes notice the faint shifting of objects, small but undeniable, suggesting the presence of unseen hands. The phenomenon is never aggressive, merely a gentle reminder that the restaurant exists in layers of history and memory, where past and present subtly converge. Soft footsteps echo through the hallways long after closing. The sound of soles against polished floors, light and deliberate, can be heard when no one else is present. Staff and visitors alike describe the sensation of being accompanied by an invisible presence, as if the restaurant itself remembers those who once walked its corridors. The echoes are fleeting yet persistent, a whisper of history carried in sound. Some claim to have seen a waiter in old-fashioned attire standing. The figure is precise in posture, and then disappears into the walls. The sighting is brief but vivid, suggesting that the restaurant holds. That continue to interact with, leaving the patrons with a sense of wonder and the combination of history and subtle activity creates an atmosphere that is immersive and reflective. The polished wooden floors, ornate chandeliers, and carefully arranged tables provide a tangible sense of place, while the occasional flicker of movement, the soft sounds, and the shifting objects hint at layers beneath the surface. The environment encourages attentiveness, drawing visitors to notice details that might otherwise go unseen. Even during busy hours, there's a sense that the space is aware of its own past. The rustle of leaves in the gardens, the whisper of air through open windows, and the reflection of light across glass surfaces seem to carry a quiet energy. Patrons sometimes feel a presence nearby, a subtle sensation of being observed, which adds to the depth and intrigue of the experience. The gardens themselves contribute to the restaurant's haunting reputation. Paths lined with flowering shrubs and ambient lighting provide a picturesque setting, yet the shifting shadows among the tables create an ever-changing landscape. Faint silhouettes appear at the edges of vision, gliding along the paths, pausing briefly before disappearing. The effect is delicate and fleeting, a reminder that the beauty of the gardens is interwoven with quiet mysteries. Staff often speak of the residual energy in the hallways and dining areas. The soft movement of objects, the echo of footsteps, and the fleeting figures suggest that the building preserves memories of past patrons and employees. These interactions are subtle, sometimes easily overlooked, but they create an impression that the restaurant is alive in ways that go beyond the ordinary, holding fragments of moments that continue to resonate through time. Visitors leave Tavern on the Green with impressions that linger. The elegant surroundings, the Gardena-esque quiet corners, and the soft sounds that seem to exist between perception and reality create an experience that is both beautiful and uncanny. Every detail, from shifting objects to the glimpsed waiter in vintage attire, contributes to a narrative of place, memory, and subtle presence. By morning, sunlight illuminates the gardens and reflects off polished interiors. Shadows shorten, and the faint phenomena of the night recede, leaving only the tangible beauty of the restaurant. Yet the history and presence endure, quietly influencing those who enter, and offering a connection to the layers of time that inhabit the space. Tavern on the Green remains a place where elegance meets mystery, where beauty and subtle hauntings coexist, inviting every visitor to experience the intersection of past and present, and the city's darkest appetite. Unseen guests, unsettling secrets, and a city's darkest appetite. Each visit becomes more than a meal or an evening out. It is a journey through history, perception, and quiet phenomenon, where every footstep, shadow, and shift in the air carries a story. Tavern on the Green endures as a space where guests are reminded that even in the heart of Manhattan, the past lingers, waiting to be noticed, and that beauty and mystery can coexist within a single, unforgettable experience. The Spotted Pig sits tucked into a corner of West Village, its brick exterior and warm lighting inviting patrons into a cozy interior filled with a hum of conversation and clinking glasses. The aroma of food drifts from the kitchen, mingling with the scent of craft beer and polished wood. Despite its lively atmosphere, there is an undercurrent that some visitors sense immediately, a quiet presence that lingers just beyond perception. Whispers are often heard emanating from the kitchen, faint and fleeting, blending with the natural sounds of cooking and service. These voices are indistinct, as though carrying fragments of conversations from another time, yet they are persistent enough to make guests glance toward the source. The whispers fade and return, creating a rhythm that punctuates the usual ambience, making the familiar environment feel subtly unfamiliar. At times, the smell of burnt food appears without any apparent cause. Patrons may notice it lingering near a table or drifting from a corner where no cooking is taking place. The scent is sudden and unexplained, disappearing as quickly as it arrives. It adds a sensory layer to the pub, heightening awareness and prompting a second look at surroundings at moments before felt ordinary. Tables sometimes shift slightly, moving as though nudged by unseen hands. These minor movements are subtle but perceptible, often noticed when a chair is repositioned or when a drink is slightly jostled. Some visitors report seeing shadowy figures carrying plates or trays, moving to the dining area with purpose, only to vanish through walls or doorways. These forms are often indistinct, their features obscured by darkness and distance, yet the movement is deliberate, almost routine, as if performing tasks that were once familiar. Witnesses describe the experience as brief but unforgettable, leaving a lingering impression of a space that exists simultaneously in present and a layer of history beyond the ordinary. The interior of the Spotted Pig contributes to the atmosphere. Movement and sound can take on unexpected qualities, shaped by flickering bulbs, passing servers, and the natural movement of patrons. These visual effects enhance the sense of depth and mystery, making the familiar layout feel unpredictable and alive. Even in the bustling dining room, the presence is palpable. Waiters may hear footsteps echoing where none exist, or the faint clatter of dishes moving without explanation. Patrons may feel a subtle shift in air or a fleeting chill as they pass certain areas. These sensations are not overtly threatening, but carry a quiet weight, a reminder that the space holds memory and perhaps remnants of those who once worked, dined, or lingered here long ago. The sound of the pub blend with these subtle phenomena, creating a layered sensory experience. Conversations, laughter, and music intermingle with the soft clinks of dishes and glasses. Beneath this surface, unexplained noises emerge. Whispers, faint footsteps, and the occasional metallic rattle draw attention, encouraging heightened awareness of surroundings and a sense of curiosity about the space beyond what can be seen. Lighting in the spotted pig plays a significant role in shaping perception. Warm bulbs cast gentle shadows across walls and tables, highlighting textures and surfaces in ways that can suggest movement. Candlelight flickers, creating subtle changes in brightness and shadow that seem almost alive. These shifts interact with natural light from windows and street lamps, creating dynamic visual effects that enhance the sense of presence and mystery. Enhance the sense of presence and mystery. That can suggest movement. The sense of presence and mystery. Creating a sense of presence and mystery. Shaping perception. Highlighting textures and surfaces in ways that can suggest movement. Creating subtle changes in brightness and shadow that seem almost alive. These shifts interact with natural light from windows and street lamps, creating dynamic visual effects that enhance the sense of presence and mystery, and the sense of mystery that can suggest movement. The sense of presence and mystery. The pub's history contributes to its character. Decades of patrons, staff, and events have left subtle imprints within the building. Objects sometimes appear to respond independently to their environment, and the combination of shadow, sound, and scent reinforces the notion that the spotted pig is more than a place to eat and drink. It becomes a space where history lingers, where the ordinary merges with traces of the past. In ways that are immersive and evocative, the spotted pig becomes a space where history lingers, where the ordinary merges with traces of the past in ways that are immersive and evocative. Corners and secluded areas of the dining room seem especially active. Tables tucked against walls or near doorways often report the most unusual activity, from chairs moving to unexplained sounds. Guests passing these areas may feel watched or sense the presence of someone or something just beyond view. The effect is subtle but cumulative, shaping the perception of the pub as a living environment rich with layered experience. The shadowy figures that appear are often most visible at the edges of vision. These glimpses are fleeting and suggestive rather than detailed, leaving the mind to fill in the story. This ambiguity contributes to the allure, making each encounter unique and encouraging repeated observation. These glimpses are fleeting and suggestive rather than detailed, leaving the mind to fill in the story. This ambiguity contributes to the allure, making each encounter unique and encouraging repeated observation. These glimpses are fleeting and suggestive rather than detailed, leaving the mind to fill in the story. Even during the day, the space retains a quiet tension. The combination of visual, auditory, and olfactory cues creates an immersive experience, where the ordinary rhythms of the pub intersect with subtle, unexplained phenomena. The spotted pig offers more than food and drink. It provides an experience that engages the senses, imagination, and awareness. Patrons may notice a fleeting shape, a sudden chill, or an unexplained scent, and these moments contribute to a narrative of presence and memory that enriches the environment. Each visit becomes a journey into the layering of history, energy, and perception that defines the space. Visitors leave the spotted pig carrying impressions that linger beyond the walls. Shadowy figures, whispers, shifting tables, and sudden scents create an atmosphere that is both captivating and mysterious. The combination of architectural detail, human activity, and subtle, unexplained phenomena makes the pub a unique location where the ordinary and extraordinary coexist seamlessly. The spotted pig remains a place where history and presence converge. Every step through its dining room offers the possibility of encountering traces of the past, whether movement, sound, or scent. Guests experience a space that is dynamic, immersive, and enigmatic, where the familiar setting of a gastropub becomes a stage for subtle, cinematic phenomena that engage curiosity and imagination at every turn. The spotted pig remains a place where history and presence converge. Peter Luger Steakhouse stands as a Brooklyn landmark, famous for its perfectly aged steaks and its rich history. The brick exterior and classic wooden interiors tell the story of generations, a space that has witnessed countless meals, celebrations, and quiet moments alike. By day, the restaurant is bustling with patrons, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses filling the air. Yet beneath this lively exterior, there is a quieter, more mysterious presence that has been felt by those who visit. Footsteps are among the most frequently reported phenomena. Guests often hear the soft, deliberate sound of someone walking across the floor. When the dining room appears empty, the steps seem to move with purpose, tracing paths between tables and booths, pausing briefly and then fading. Patrons glance around, expecting to see a waiter or a fellow diner, but find no one. The echoing footsteps leave a sense of subtle unease, a reminder that the restaurant holds more than the everyday sounds of a busy evening. Chairs scrape along the wooden floors at unexpected moments. The sound is familiar and ordinary, yet in the absence of anyone nearby, it becomes unnerving. Chairs move as if someone invisible has adjusted them, or as if a silent guest has taken a seat. The effect is brief but startling, creating an impression that the room is never entirely empty, and that unseen eyes observe the comings and goings of those who dine within its walls. Some visitors describe a more intimate presence while eating. They feel the subtle weight of someone leaning close, a sensation that brushes against the body or shoulder. When they turn to look, no one is there. The feeling is tangible, immediate, and inexplicable, lingering even after the meal is finished. It is a quiet, pressing reminder that the space holds layers of history and memories that refuse to remain invisible. The restaurant's interior enhances the mysterious atmosphere. Exposed beams, polished wooden tables, and vintage photographs create a classic, timeless environment. Low lighting casts soft shadows across the room, turning corners and edges into areas where imagination fills in the gaps. The interplay of light and shadow makes ordinary movements appear fleetingly otherworldly, and patrons become more aware of the subtle details of the space around them. The atmosphere of the restaurant is unsettling and foreboding, and patrons begin to sense that something is off. Sounds are amplified in the quiet moments. The soft murmur of conversation, the scrape of a chair, and the gentle clink of silverware take on greater significance. In these moments, even the faintest noise cease of footsteps, whispers, or rustling to seem deliberate, as if the room itself is alive with hidden activity. The acoustics of Peter Luger's steakhouse lend an intimacy to these occurrences, making them feel immediate and personal for those who experience them. The history of the restaurant contributes to its enigmatic character. Established over a century ago, it has been a gathering place for countless diners, families, and staff across generations. Many people have walked these floors, and some suggest that the echoes of past patrons linger in the space. The footsteps, moving chairs, and gentle presences may be remnants of this long history, subtle reminders that the restaurant carries stories beyond those of the living. Even during the busiest hours, attentive diners sometimes notice fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures along the walls or near the corners of the room. These figures are never threatening, but their appearance is enough to draw attention and curiosity. They seem to move gracefully and silently, almost blending with the environment, and vanish when approached directly. The experience leaves a sense of layered time, where the present interacts with traces of the past. Isolation in quieter moments heightens the effect. During late-night dinners or slower periods, the usual bustle is reduced, allowing subtle sounds and sensations to become more pronounced. Footsteps echo more clearly, shadows appear sharper, and the gentle weight of unseen presences feels closer. These moments create a heightened awareness of the space, a sense that the restaurant has a personality beyond its physical walls, attentive to those who dine within it. The combination of activity, history, and subtle phenomena creates ordinary elements such as tables, chairs, and lighting, footsteps, and unseen presences. Patrons leave with memories that linger, aware that Peter Luger Steakhouse is more than a place for food. It is a living environment, charged with echoes of the past, and faint traces of something beyond the ordinary. By closing time, the restaurant returns to quiet. The clatter of dishes ceases, the footsteps fade, and shadows settle into corners. Yet even then, the presence remains, subtle and enduring, woven into the structure and energy of the space. Patrons and staff alike carry the memory of fleeting sensations, of being observed, followed, and accompanied by something unseen. Peter Luger Steakhouse is both a culinary landmark and a place of quiet mystery. Its creaking floors, moving chairs, soft presences, and fleeting shadows create an atmosphere that is immersive and unforgettable. Visitors leave with a sense of connection to both the past and the present, aware that the restaurant holds stories that continue to live among the tables, in the corners, and in the very air itself. It is a place where history, memory, and subtle unseen presence converge, creating an experience that lingers long after the meal has ended. Sylvia S. Restaurant sits in the heart of Harlem, a beloved institution known for its rich soul food and welcoming atmosphere. By day, the restaurant is filled with the aromas of fried chicken, collard greens, and sweet cornbread, drawing locals and visitors alike. The energy is lively, filled with laughter, conversation, and the warmth of community. Yet as night falls and the crowds depart, the restaurant's atmosphere changes, revealing a quieter, more mysterious presence that has persisted for decades. Staff working late often hear voices in the kitchen, conversations that do not belong to anyone present. The sounds are faint at first, a murmur among the clatter of pots and pans. Sometimes they grow louder, as if the unseen speakers are moving from one end of the kitchen to the other. The voices are not aggressive, but they are unmistakable, leaving those who hear them with a sense of being observed, of sharing the space with guests from another time. Some diners report seeing figures sitting at empty booths. They appear solid for a moment, seated with posture and presence as if waiting for an order or engaging in conversation. When approached or glanced at directly, they vanish without a trace. These fleeting encounters leave a lasting impression, a subtle reminder that Sylvia S. is more than a restaurant. It is a space where past and present intersect, where memories and energy linger in quiet, almost tangible ways. Soft laughter drifts through the hallways late at night, echoing to the dining area and corridors even when the restaurant is empty. The sound is light and melodic, a voice carrying the joy and camaraderie of those who once shared meals in the space. It passes from room to room, sometimes stopping for a heartbeat before continuing, as though the restaurant itself is alive with invisible patrons, maintaining the warmth and spirit that has defined it for generations. The building itself contributes to the sense of presence. Low ceilings, wooden beams, and warm lighting create pockets of shadow and intimacy, where sounds and movements seem amplified. Each corner and hallway hold the potential for unexpected encounters, moments where the ordinary act of cleaning or closing up becomes intertwined with the extraordinary, where staff and visitors may feel the brush of unseen hands or sense that they are not truly alone. The kitchen, a place of constant activity by day, becomes a focal point of many reports. Spoons clatter, knives slide across cutting boards, and the faint scent of spices seems to move through the air without anyone preparing food. Staff describe these occurrences as subtle but unmistakable, a presence that maintains routines long after the workday ends. The energy is not threatening, yet it demands attention, reminding those who remain that Sylvia S. carries the echoes of decades of meals, conversations, and community life. In the dining area, the booths and tables themselves seem. Chairs may shift slightly, menus might be displaced, and small movements in the corners of vision hint at activity. That is invisible, not with malice, but with the gentle attentiveness of someone lingering, ensuring that the energy of the restaurant continues to be felt. These subtle interactions create a sense of continuity, a bridge between past diners and those enjoying the space today. These subtle interactions create a sense of continuity, a bridge between past diners and those enjoying the space today. The atmosphere of Sylvia S. is further enriched by the sounds of the city outside. The hum of traffic, distant sirens, and occasional footsteps in the street blend with the interior presence, creating a layered soundscape that heightens awareness. Within this combination of natural and supernatural sounds, visitors experience a unique perspective, where the ordinary rhythms of life intersect with the enduring spirit of those who have long called the restaurant home. Even simple tasks are touched by the lingering presence. Setting tables, washing dishes, or walking through empty corridors can reveal small anomalies, a shift in air temperature, a faint scent, or the impression of someone just behind. These occurrences are never harmful, but they serve to immerse those present in a narrative that extends beyond the visible, creating a sense of shared history and continuous energy that defines the space. The restaurant-esque legacy of soul food and community life blends seamlessly with ethereal activity. Guests and staff alike become part of an ongoing story, where the joy, laughter, and care that have filled the restaurant for decades continue to resonate. The spirits of those who once dined, worked, or celebrated here linger in quiet ways, maintaining the atmosphere and reminding all who enter that Sylvia S. is not only a place to eat, but a space where time layers itself, connecting past and present. Sylvia S. Restaurant remains a testament to tradition, culture, and the unseen continuity of human experience. Its walls, tables, and kitchens hold memory, echoing with the voices, laughter, and presence of those who came before. Visitors leave with more than the taste of food. They carry an awareness of a space where history is alive, where spirits move quietly, and where the warmth of soul food is accompanied by the subtle, enduring presence of the past. Each night, as the doors close and the lights dim, Sylvia S. transforms into a place where memory and energy coexist. Figures at empty booths, soft laughter in the hallways, and the faint movements in the kitchen all serve as reminders that the restaurant is more than it appears. The past is woven into the fabric of the present, creating an experience that is both comforting and mysterious, and leaving those who remain with a profound sense of connection to the stories and spirits that continue to call Sylvia S. Restaurant home. Gallagher S. Steakhouse sits proudly in Manhattan. Its brick walls and vintage copyright silverware are a testament to decades of dining history. The warm glow of chandeliers illuminates dark wood panels and leather booths, creating an atmosphere of classic elegance. By day, the restaurant is filled with a hum of conversation, the clatter of silverware, and the enticing aroma of aged steaks. Yet as night falls, an entirely different presence begins to make itself known, subtle and mysterious, lingering among the familiar surroundings. Patrons often notice glasses clinking on their own. The sound is soft but deliberate, moving across tables as if an invisible hand has nudged them. Staff sometimes pause, scanning the room for explanation, only to find everything in order. These occurrences are brief, yet they leave an impression, a sense that the space holds on to echoes of the past, replaying them in quiet, unexpected moments. Cold drafts move through the restaurant without cause. A sudden chill passes over a booth, raising goosebumps on the arms of those seated. The temperature shift is localized, subtle yet distinct, and seems to follow no logical pattern. Guests report feeling the sensation of air brushing past them, as if someone unseen has moved quietly through the space, leaving the room almost unchanged yet undeniably altered. Shadowy figures are occasionally glimpsed behind the bar. Patrons have described seeing shapes moving silently, adjusting bottles or polishing glasses with precise, deliberate motions. The figures appear attentive yet distant, vanishing when approached. There is a sense of routine in their movements, as if performing tasks remembered from long ago, maintaining the rhythm of the restaurant even when no one else is present. The interior of Gallagher S. contributes to the haunting atmosphere. Dark wood panels, framed photographs, and dim lighting create an intimate setting, yet the shadows cast by these elements often seem to take on a life of their own. Reflections in glass surfaces occasionally hint at motion where none exists, and corners of the room may appear slightly darker, as though holding on to something just beyond perception. The experience of visiting Gallagher S. at night is immersive. Every sound, shadow, and shift in the air carries a subtle tension. The clinking glasses, the faint movement of objects, and the occasional chill all combine to create a space that feels alive with history. It is an environment where attention to detail reveals layers of the past still interacting with the present, quietly inviting observation and reflection. Even during busy hours, the presence is felt. Patrons notice that while the restaurant is lively, there are moments when the energy shifts, and the subtle signs of otherworldly activity become noticeable. Footsteps may echo slightly differently, shadows may linger longer, and the air may feel charged with memory. These experiences are fleeting yet persistent, leaving a quiet impression that endures after the meal has ended. The bar area is central to these phenomena. Staff have reported small adjustments to items on the shelves, tasks completed seemingly by invisible hands. The effect is not threatening, but emphasizes the enduring presence of those who may have spent years tending the bar, carrying forward a rhythm that persists beyond their physical lives. The combination of architecture, copyright COR, and history amplifies the atmosphere. Leather booths, brass fixtures, and framed photographs all provide tangible markers of the restaurant's long history. Yet the subtle disturbances suggest there is more to the environment than meets the eye. Patrons find themselves alert to the smallest details, noticing movements, sounds, and changes that might otherwise go unnoticed in a more conventional setting. Guests often leave Gallagher-esque with lasting impressions. The gentle clinking of glasses, the shifting shadows, and the occasional chill create an experience that is both atmospheric and reflective. The presence felt within the restaurant is subtle, inviting visitors to consider the layers of time held within the walls. The dining experience becomes intertwined with awareness, blending the enjoyment of food with the intrigue of unseen companions. The dining experience becomes intertwined with awareness, blending the enjoyment of food with the intrigue of unseen companions. By morning, sunlight illuminates the interior, softening the shadows and warming the air. The spectral impressions of the night recede, leaving only the tangible elegance of Gallagher-esque steakhouse. Yet the history and presence endure, quietly shaping the environment and lingering in the memories of those who have dined late into the evening. Each visitor becomes part of a continuum, experiencing both the rich tradition of the restaurant and the subtle, unseen dimensions that coexist within it. Gallagher-esque Steakhouse remains a place where history, presence, and quiet mystery converge. It is a space where the ordinary act of dining is enhanced by moments that cannot be entirely explained, creating an experience that is immersive, atmospheric, and unforgettable. Every clink of glass, every shifting shadow, and every sudden chill contributes to a story that extends beyond the present, reminding visitors that even in the heart of Manhattan, the past is never truly gone. Bemelmana's bar sits quietly within the iconic hotel, its polished wood and warm lighting creating an atmosphere of elegance and intimacy. Soft jazz music drifts through the lounge, blending with the gentle clink of glasses and murmured conversation. Yet beneath the refined surface, there exists a layer of unseen presence, a subtle energy that some guests feel immediately upon entering. Glasses sometimes tip over without being touched, sliding across tables or clinking to the floor. These movements are sudden and inexplicable, drawing attention from nearby patrons and staff. The incidents are brief and fleeting, but they leave a lasting impression, hinting at a presence that observes and interacts with a physical space in ways that are imperceptible yet undeniable. A faint scent of cigar smoke often appears unexpectedly, filling the room with an aroma reminiscent of a bygone era. The scent is smoky and rich, evoking images of past patrons, social gatherings, and moments long ago. It adds an olfactory dimension to the bar as subtle mysteries, deepening the sense that time layers itself within the space. Staff members occasionally glimpse figures dressed in 1920s attire gliding through the lounge. These figures are often partially transparent, their movements fluid and deliberate. They pause near tables, move along the bar, or appear to engage in silent conversations, before disappearing into walls or behind pillars. These glimpses are brief and enigmatic, leaving witnesses with a sense of having shared the space with the echoes of history itself. The architecture of Bemelmana's bar enhances its mysterious atmosphere. Dark wood panels, high ceilings, and softly lit corners create areas of shadow and depth where perception can shift unexpectedly. Light from chandeliers and sconces casts patterns across the floor and tables, forming shapes that move subtly with the passing of staff and patrons. These visual nuances encourage awareness, making each moment in the bar feel layered and dynamic. Even in its lively hours, the bar carries a quiet tension. The clinking of glassware, The soft hum of conversation and the smooth tones of background music mixed with subtler, unexplained phenomena. Footsteps sometimes echo along empty aisles. Chairs scrape without being moved, and the faint scent of cigars drifts through areas with no apparent source. These moments are not threatening, but carry a weight of presence that is both engaging and immersive. The interplay of history and environment is central to the bar allure. Decades of patrons, celebrations, and conversations have left traces in the space. Glasses tip, scents linger, and figures appear, creating the impression that the lounge itself remembers. Every detail of the decor, from the polished bar to the lined shelves, contributes to a setting where past and present seem to coexist, and where perception is heightened by subtle signs of activity that cannot be easily explained. Lighting and shadow play a crucial role in shaping experiences. The glow from chandeliers reflects off glassware, creating patterns that shift with the movement of staff and patrons. Dark corners, alcoves, and behind-bar spaces form areas where shapes appear and vanish in peripheral vision. These effects enhance the cinematic quality of the bar, making each moment feel fluid, layered, and occasionally uncanny. The bar staff often describe a rhythm to the unexplained occurrences. Glasses may tip during quiet moments. Cigar scents emerge in mid-conversation. Figures in vintage attire glide past when attention is elsewhere. These phenomena appear sporadically and unpredictably, contributing to the sensation that Bemmelmann is a living environment, attuned to both its history and the energy of those who occupy it. Guests may notice subtleties that others overlook. The brush of air near a table, a slight vibration of a chair, or a shadow passing just beyond sight can create heightened awareness. These experiences combine with visual, auditory, and olfactory cues to form an immersive atmosphere. The lounge transforms into a space where ordinary observation intersects with faint traces of history and presence, producing a continuous sense of engagement and curiosity. Even during the day, Bemmelmann retains its enigmatic quality. Shadows bend and stretch in ways that suggest movement, and small disturbances in air or sound take on significance in the quiet corners of the bar. The combination of design, history, and subtle phenomena ensures that the space is alive with layered experiences regardless of the hour. The glimpses of figures in period attire evoke the elegance and culture of a past era. Their fluid movements, the way they occupy space, and fleeting interactions with tables or bar areas suggest lives once present, but not entirely gone. These encounters encourage reflection on the passage of time, the layering of human activity, and the idea that energy from previous occupants can remain, subtly shaping the environment for those who follow. The tipping of glasses and the appearance of smoke reinforce the idea that Bemmelmann is more than a physical space. Each small occurrence acts as a reminder of the lounge's depth and character, drawing attention to the ongoing interaction between present visitors and the echoes of those who came before. These moments are brief but memorable, creating a narrative of presence that is felt rather than fully understood. Walking through Bemmelmann bar is a journey through both space and time. The architecture, decor, and atmosphere combine with subtle, unexplained phenomena to create an environment that is immersive and cinematic. Patrons experience layers of history and presence, where each glance, sound, and scent contributes to a story that is both continuous and alive. Bemmelmann remains a place where elegance and mystery coexist. Every visit offers a possibility of witnessing subtle interactions with unseen figures, sensing the lingering aroma of cigars, or noticing objects responding in ways that defy explanation. These experiences are not overtly frightening, but are compelling, immersive, and unforgettable, offering an encounter with a space where history, perception, and presence merge seamlessly. The bar's allure lies in its ability to engage all senses while maintaining a refined atmosphere. Shadows, scents, and fleeting forms transform ordinary moments into experiences of quiet intrigue. Bemmelmann invites observation, reflection, and curiosity, providing a setting where the energy of the past continues to influence the present, creating a unique environment that captivates the imagination and lingers in memory long after leaving the lounge. The Russian Tea Room in Manhattan stands as an emblem of elegance, history, and refined dining. Its ornate interiors, rich red and gold copyright COR, and sparkling chandeliers create an atmosphere of luxury and sophistication. By day, sunlight filters through the windows, illuminating the polished wood floors and plush seating. Guests are drawn to the room for its cuisine and charm, yet beneath the glittering surface, the space holds stories that stretch far beyond its celebrated reputation. Shadows appear at the edges of mirrors, subtle and fleeting. Patrons notice movement in their peripheral vision, dark shapes gliding silently along the reflective surfaces. When looked at directly, the shadows vanish, leaving only the mirror and the room behind it. These glimpses are brief but unsettling, a quiet reminder that the history of the tea room lingers in the corners, in reflections, and in the spaces between sight and perception. Chandeliers sway gently, though no wind passes through the closed room. Their crystals tinkle softly, producing a sound that is delicate yet resonant, carrying across the ceiling and down the walls. The movement is slow and almost imperceptible, enough to draw attention without explanation. Patrons often pause mid-conversation, noticing the subtle motion and ethereal quality it brings to the ornate surroundings. The chandeliers become silent witnesses, suspended between past and present, reflecting the enduring presence of those who came before. Faint voices are sometimes heard, speaking in Russian, discussing orders or arrangements, though the room is empty. The sounds are hushed, almost a whisper, echoing faintly through the hallways and dining spaces. Visitors strain to locate the source, only to find that the sound seems to exist independently, as if carried by the walls themselves. The voices are not alarming, yet they evoke a sense of history, a connection to the countless servers, patrons, and staff who have moved to the tea room over the decades. The architecture and design contribute to the atmosphere of subtle mystery. Dark wood paneling, intricate moldings, and heavy draperies create corners and recesses where shadows can gather. Lighting casts soft pools of illumination across the floor and tables, turning familiar shapes into fleeting, moving images. Every mirror, every crystal, and every polished surface seems to hold traces of the past, reflecting more than the present moment. Guests often describe an ineffable sense of being observed, a presence felt rather than seen. A brush of air, a slight shift in temperature, or the faint echo of footsteps across the floor can create a feeling of quiet anticipation. The tea room, with all its grandeur, becomes a space where past and present coexist, where memories of former diners and staff linger in a way that is perceptible to those attuned to subtle energy. Where memories of former diners and staff linger in a way that is perceptible to those attuned to subtle energy. Even during busy hours, when the hum of conversation and clinking of glasses fills the room, shadows still appear at mirror edges. Chandeliers move with no wind, and distant voices can sometimes be heard. These occurrences are woven seamlessly into the life of the restaurant, almost unnoticed by some, yet unforgettable to those who take note. They create an immersive experience, blending luxury and refinement with an undercurrent of quiet mystery. The history of the Russian tea room enriches its haunted reputation. Established in the early 20th century, it has hosted countless figures from the arts, business, and society. Each generation left traces of memories, routines, and energies that continue to echo in the space. The shadows, swaying chandeliers, and whispered voices can be seen as a subtle imprint of those who frequented the room long ago, present in a way that transcends time. Even brief moments in the tea room can feel charged with this presence. A raised glass might catch a glimmer of a shadow in the corner of the eye. Footsteps echo quietly through spaces that seem empty. These moments create an awareness of the layered history within the room, a sense that the elegant surroundings hold both the visible and invisible. Visitors often leave with a lasting impression of the space. The Russian tea room offers more than food and refinement. It provides an encounter with history made tangible, a place where subtle phenomena remind guests of the lives and stories that preceded them. Shadows, voices, and chandeliers combine to form a sensory experience that is immersive, engaging, and slightly otherworldly, leaving diners with a memory of something beyond the ordinary. At the end of the day, When the crowds have gone and the lights dim, the tea room holds still, yet its presence endures. Shadows linger, voices echo faintly, and chandeliers remain suspended between past and present. It is a space that maintains the elegance and luxury for which it is renowned, while quietly preserving the stories, whispers, and energies that make it more than just a restaurant. The Russian Tea Room stands as a testament to Manhattana's history, a space where opulence and subtle mystery coexist. Patrons experience not only the refinement of its cuisine and a copyright COR, but also a sense of connection to generations past. Footsteps, shadows, whispered voices, and moving chandeliers create a quiet tension that draws the curious and the observant into its layered world. It is a place where elegance, history, and subtle supernatural presence converge, offering an unforgettable experience that lingers long after the doors close. Blue Hill, nestled in the heart of Greenwich Village, is known for its farm-to-table cuisine and elegant, modern design. By day, the restaurant hums with the energy of chefs preparing fresh dishes, servers moving gracefully between tables, and diners enjoying the delicate balance of flavors. Yet, as evening descends and crowd thins, the space takes on a quieter, more enigmatic presence, revealing a layer of the restaurant unseen by most. Guests sometimes report seeing figures appearing behind the windows, standing silently and observing the activity inside. These apparitions are fleeting, often vanishing when looked at directly. Their presence is subtle yet unmistakable, leaving a sense that the restaurant carries memories or energies beyond the ordinary. Patrons describe the feeling of being watched, a gentle awareness that transcends explanation, adding an unusual tension to the otherwise serene environment. Waiters have shared stories of tables resetting themselves after being cleared. Staff experience a strange mix of curiosity and respect, recognizing that the space itself seems to maintain an order that extends beyond the physical realm. Some diners report the sensation of hands brushing their shoulders while eating. The touch is light, almost imperceptible, leaving a fleeting chill or shiver that lingers after the moment passes. It is not threatening, yet it is deeply personal, creating a direct connection between the present and the subtle echoes of the past. These experiences are often recounted with both fascination and unease, as the ordinary act of dining becomes entwined with something extraordinary. The architecture and atmosphere of Blue Hill enhance these encounters. High ceilings, natural wood, and large windows create pockets of shadow and light, where glimpses of movement are easily imagined yet consistently reported, past and present blending in subtle ways. The kitchen, a hub of activity by day, takes on an almost sacred quality after hours. Pots and pans occasionally move or shift, and the faint scent of ingredients lingers even when cooking is long ended. Staff describe an awareness of unseen presence, an attentive energy that seems to continue the routines of the restaurant in a silent, watchful way. The kitchen becomes a bridge between the practical and the spectral, a space where history and hospitality intersect. The dining area, with its intimate tables and carefully arranged settings, carries a quiet vibrancy. Shadows gather in corners, and reflections in the windows sometimes reveal shapes that do not correspond to anyone present. These manifestations are subtle, never aggressive, yet they command attention and respect. Diners report feelings of being part of something larger than a meal, a sense that the restaurant itself holds a story, and that they are momentarily connected to it. Sounds play a significant role in the restaurant's mysterious presence. The soft scrape of a chair, the rustle of a menu, or the echo of footsteps can occur when no one is there. These auditory experiences are gentle and fleeting, heightening awareness and creating a sense of wonder. They are reminders that spaces carry memory, and that the act of inhabiting a location can sometimes reveal layers unseen by the eye. The restaurant's modern aesthetic contrasts with the subtle, timeless presence reported by guests and staff. The juxtaposition of contemporary design and historical resonance creates a unique environment where the ordinary and extraordinary coexist. Patrons may focus on the food, conversation, or ambience, only to become aware of fleeting impressions, subtle touches, or unexplained movements that hint at another layer of experience within the space. Blue Hill remains a place where the living and the unseen intersect. Its walls, tables, and windows hold memory, echoing with the presence of figures from times past. Guests may leave with more than the taste of carefully prepared dishes. They carry a sense of participation in a continuum of energy that has persisted within the restaurant. The experiences, whether through sight, sound, or touch, offer a gentle but persistent reminder that the space is alive in ways that extend beyond the ordinary. Each visit becomes part of an ongoing narrative, where diners and staff share the space with energies that are attentive, delicate, and pervasive. The figures behind windows, the resetting of tables, and the fleeting touches all create a sense of intimacy with a world beyond immediate perception. Blue Hill offers not only nourishment for the body, but a subtle invitation to engage with history, memory, and presence in a way that transforms the act of dining into an immersive, almost cinematic experience. As the night deepens and the last patrons leave, the restaurant becomes quiet, yet the energy remains. Shadows shift in the corners, unseen figures maintain their silent watch, and the space continues its gentle rhythm. Blue Hill is more than a restaurant. It is a place where the layers of time, memory, and subtle presence converge, offering those who enter a chance to feel the lingering echoes of the past, woven seamlessly into the vibrancy of the present. The Odeon sits quietly in the heart of Tribeca, its classic FA section Ade hinting at decades of art, culture, and late-night conversation. Polished with floors, brass fixtures, and deep leather seating create a warm and inviting environment. Yet beneath the beauty of its .copyright COR, there lingers a presence that is subtle, elusive, and unmistakably otherworldly. Soft laughter can be heard drifting to the dining hall, faint and delicate, carrying with it the echoes of conversations long past. It does not announce itself abruptly, but weaves into the ambient sounds of the room, blending with the gentle hum of movement and the clinking of utensils. Patrons often pause, searching for source, only to find empty tables and quiet corners. The laughter seems to belong to the very walls themselves, as though the spirit of the Odeon remembers the joy and excitement of its earlier days. Chairs shift slightly across the polished floors, moving as if an invisible guest has risen from the table. The motion is subtle, sometimes a nudge here, a gentle scrape there, enough to catch the attention of diners and staff. These small disturbances never cause alarm but create a sense of awareness, an understanding that the space holds memories that are more than decorative or historical. The movement of objects serves as a reminder that the Odeon is alive with the traces of its past. Shadowy figures have been reported gliding silently between tables, waiters dressed in attire from another era. They carry plates, adjust settings, and move with precision of those accustomed to service, yet the tables remain empty of living patrons. Guests often notice these figures peripherally, a fleeting glimpse that vanishes if looked at directly, leaving only the impression that the restaurant's history is actively present. The interior of the Odeon contributes to the haunting atmosphere. The interplay of dim lighting, reflective surfaces, and rich textures creates shifting shadows that seem almost animate. A beam of light might catch the corner of a photograph, giving the impression of movement, or a reflection in a polished brass surface might reveal something not entirely explainable. These subtle visual cues draw attention and curiosity, encouraging careful observation of a space that is layered with both elegance and mystery. The energy within the Odeon is palpable, especially during quiet hours. Footsteps echo differently, softer or more deliberate than one would expect. The air carries a faint chill in certain areas, brushing past diners unexpectedly. A fleeting reminder that the space is not entirely governed by the present. The smell of food and polish seems tinged with memory, a suggestion that the very essence of past meals, gatherings, and conversations lingers just beneath the surface. The dining hall itself feels alive in moments when it is empty. Tables are arranged neatly, yet the subtle sounds of shifting chairs, faint footsteps, and muted laughter suggest activity beyond the ordinary. Staff members have described the sensation of being watched, of feeling a presence nearby, attentive yet unobtrusive. The effect is immersive, creating an environment where patrons sense history and spectral activity intertwining, where the ordinary experience of dining becomes layered with something intangible and compelling. Every object in the Odeon seems to participate in this subtle haunting. Silverware is occasionally displaced, napkins slightly shifted, and wine glasses sometimes appear in new positions from one moment to the next. The phenomenon is never violent or threatening, merely an interaction with the memory and energy of the space. It encourages reflection on the passage of time, the many people who have passed through these rooms, and the invisible threads connecting past and present. Visitors often leave the Odeon with lingering impressions that extend beyond the flavors of the meal or the ambience of the room. The sense of presence, the fleeting shadows, and the soft, playful laughter combine to create an experience that is at once elegant, mysterious, and deeply human. The restaurant becomes more than a place to dine. It transforms into a space where memory, history, and subtle hauntings coexist, offering a glimpse into the life of a building that has witnessed generations of creativity and conversation. By morning, the light shifts, illuminating the polished floors and soft textures of furniture. The faint spectral activity retreats with the rising sun, leaving only the tangible beauty of the Odeona-esque interior. Yet the sense of history and quiet presence endures, ready to reemerge when the evening falls, when shadows lengthen and the past gently blends with the present. Each visitor participates in this continuum, experiencing both the richness of the restaurant-esque cultural history and the quiet, mysterious energy that lingers among its tables. The Odeon remains a place where artistry, elegance, and subtle haunting intersect. It invites careful observation, reflection, and wonder, creating a dining experience that transcends the ordinary. Every movement, shadow, and sound contributes to a story that unfolds quietly around diners, suggesting that even in the heart of Tribeca, the past continues to whisper, laugh, and serve its phantom guests. Each visit to the Odeon is a journey through memory, presence, and timeless atmosphere, where the ordinary meets the extraordinary in ways that leave a lasting impression, where the past continues to whisper, laugh, and serve its phantom guests. Jacka's wife Frida sits tucked into a bustling corner of Manhattan, its warm lighting and cheerful decor inviting passers-by into a space that feels both intimate and familiar. The aroma of Mediterranean dishes fills the air, mingling with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and baked bread. On the surface, the restaurant exudes comfort and vibrancy, yet beneath this welcoming atmosphere, there's a subtle undercurrent that some patrons cannot ignore. Whispers sometimes emerge from the kitchen, faint and indistinct, drifting through the dining room. They are not part of the staff's routine and cannot be traced to any appliance or movement. The murmurs appear and fade, brushing against the edges of perception, causing diners to glance toward the source. These sounds are gentle yet persistent, creating an uncanny sense that the space is alive with presence beyond the ordinary. Plates occasionally shift, moving slightly on tables as if carried or nudged by unseen hands. These movements are subtle but noticeable, creating a momentary pause in conversation as guests look around for an explanation. The phenomenon is unpredictable, occurring with no pattern, heightening awareness and adding a layer of intrigue to the dining experience. It is as if the restaurant itself is interacting with those who occupy it, communicating through minor, almost imperceptible gestures. Some diners report a feeling of being watched, a quiet sensation emanating from the corners of the room. The presence is never threatening, but it is unmistakable, drawing attention to areas that might otherwise be overlooked. Patrons describe glances toward dimly lit corners, shadows that linger slightly longer than expected, and the sense that someone or something is observing from just beyond view. These moments leave a lasting impression, merging comfort with a gentle unease. The design of the restaurant contributes to its atmosphere. Reflections from glassware and polished surfaces play with light, forming patterns that seem to shift and change with the passing of staff and diners. These effects enhance the sense of depth and presence, making a familiar environment feel layered and dynamic. Even during busy hours, the restaurant holds a quiet tension. The clatter of dishes, hum of conversation, and background music blend seamlessly with the more subtle, unexplained phenomena. Footsteps sometimes echo where none exist, plates vibrate slightly without contact, and the faint whispering persists. These occurrences are sporadic, but consistent enough to be noticed, leaving patrons with a sense that Jack's wife, Frida, contains more than what meets the eye. The olfactory experience reinforces the barai's enigmatic quality. The scent of food and spices is interwoven with the occasional, inexplicable waft of aromas that seem out of place, like a faint trace of smoke or perfume. These sensory cues create a layered atmosphere, merging past and present, and heightening the perception that the restaurant is inhabited by more than just its living guests. Corners and alcoves within the space are often described as particularly active. Tables near the edges of the room are where plates shift, whispers are heard most clearly, and the sense of presence is strongest. Guests passing these areas may notice a subtle chill or the faint impression of movement in their peripheral vision. These experiences are immersive, encouraging patrons to become fully aware of their surroundings and the history embedded in the space. The patterns of unexplained activity are subtle but deliberate. Plates move during quiet moments. Shadows linger longer than expected, and whispers rise and fall with the rhythm of the room. These phenomena interact with the ordinary actions of diners and staff, blending seamlessly into the environment while remaining distinctly otherworldly, creating a continuous and engaging narrative. Light plays an essential role in shaping perception. Soft fixtures cast gentle illumination across tables and walls, creating contrast that highlight textures and movements. Shadows stretch and shift with the passage of people, and reflections in glass surfaces form fleeting shapes that vanish almost immediately. These effects amplify the sense of presence and mystery, making the restaurant feel alive in ways that extend beyond the visible and tangible. The interplay of sound, sight, and scent forms a holistic experience. Whispers, shifting plates, and the faint aroma of something unexplained combine to engage multiple senses simultaneously. Patrons experience layers of perception that encourage reflection, curiosity, and heightened awareness. Each visit becomes an exploration of subtle phenomena, where every detail contributes to a narrative of presence that is immersive and compelling. Even moments of solitude in the restaurant carry weight. A diner alone may feel a brush of air, notice a plate move, or sense a glance from a shadowed corner. These occurrences are brief but striking, emphasizing the presence of forces that are both gentle and perceptible. The experience is never overtly frightening, but leaves a lingering impression that the space is more than it seems. Jacka's wife Frida balances comfort and subtle unease with elegance. Patrons can enjoy the warmth and charm of the space, while remaining aware of the faint, unexplained interactions that occur around them. The movement of objects, shifting shadows, and whispers form a quiet narrative that overlays the normal rhythms of dining, creating an environment that is simultaneously familiar and uncanny. The restaurant's energy feels layered with time and memory. Decades of patrons, staff, and activity have left traces that persist, subtly influencing the present. Guests witness echoes of the past in the way plates move, sounds manifest, and presences are felt, adding a historical depth to their experience. These elements combine to make Jacka's wife Frida a location where observation and perception are constantly engaged. Walking through the restaurant becomes a cinematic experience. Every glance, sound, and scent contributes to a sense of narrative, with the ordinary and extraordinary intertwined. Patrons leave with impressions that linger, shaped by subtle interactions. Moments that invite curiosity and a deepened appreciation for the layering of space, history, and presence. Jacka's wife Frida is more than a dining establishment. It is a place where the boundaries between the seen and unseen blur, where history and present converge, and where every visitor becomes part of a living, breathing story. The restaurant offers an experience that is immersive, mysterious, and unforgettable, leaving a quiet, lingering sense that not all that is present can be fully explained. Nobu in Manhattan is a symbol of modern luxury, renowned for its world-class cuisine and sophisticated ambience. The air carries a subtle aroma of fresh ingredients, and a quiet hum of conversation fills the space during busy hours. Yet beneath the elegance and sophistication, there are whispers of something unseen, traces of presence that have persisted for years. Some guests report fleeting figures near the sushi counters. These apparitions are brief, appearing for only moments before vanishing into the surrounding air. Patrons catch glimpses of movement in their peripheral vision, shadows that seem human in shape but vanish when directly observed. The figures do not interfere with the dining experience, yet their presence is unmistakable, leaving a chill or a heightened awareness of the space around them. Soft clinks and subtle echoes travel through empty rooms. Plates, cutlery, and glassware sometimes produce sounds when no one is nearby. The vibrations faint yet distinct. These noises create an atmosphere where the ordinary and the extraordinary intertwine, blending seamlessly with the natural ambience of the restaurant. Guests often pause, listening carefully, only to find a room completely still except for the lingering resonance of a sound that seems to exist independently. In certain booths, diners have felt a cold, fleeting touch along the shoulders or the back. The sensation is never forceful or alarming, yet it suggests the presence of sommania or something is sharing the space. Patrons often find themselves turning to see who is nearby, only to meet empty chairs and unoccupied tables. The touch becomes a memory, a subtle reminder that the restaurant is more than it appears, layered with history and presence. The design of Nobu enhances the sense of quiet mystery. Low lighting and reflective surfaces create shadows that shift as diners move through the room. Polished wooden counters and sleek furniture catch the ambient light, producing subtle reflections that make the space feel alive. Every corner, nook, and hallway holds a potential for subtle movement, and even ordinary activity is tinged with a sense of anticipation, as though the room itself is attentive to those within it. Even during the busiest hours, attentive diners notice the unusual. Movement along the sushi counters, faint echoes, and cold brushes of air are interwoven with ordinary restaurant sounds. The phenomena do not disrupt the experience, but they create an undercurrent of intrigue that draws the curious into closer observation. Guests describe feeling a heightened sense of connection to the space, aware of its history and the unseen forces that linger there. Nobu's atmosphere is enhanced by its long history as a renowned culinary destination. The restaurant has hosted generations of visitors, chefs, and staff who have shaped its energy over time. Some suggest that the subtle manifestations, the figures, the sounds, and the chase are traces of those who came before, lingering in the restaurant and observing the ongoing flow of life. These echoes are imperceptible to some, yet vivid to those attuned to the nuances of the environment. The ongoing flow of life. The interplay of light, sound, and shadow creates moments that feel cinematic. Reflections on polished surfaces reveal movement that is not immediately explainable. Faint noises resonate through empty spaces. Figures appear and disappear, leaving only the memory of a presence behind. Patrons describe a sense of being watched in the most gentle and unobtrusive manner, as if the restaurant holds a subtle consciousness that interacts with those who enter. Quiet periods, when fewer diners are present, often heighten the sensations. The soft clinks of cutlery carry farther, shadows appear sharper, and the faint presence along booths becomes more noticeable. These moments provide an opportunity to experience the restaurant in a different way, observing the delicate balance between ordinary activity and subtle, unexplained phenomena. The energy of Nobu feels alive, an intersection of past and present, tangible and unseen. Visitors often leave with a lingering impression of the space. Nobu is more than a dining destination. It is a place where elegance, history, and quiet mystery coexist. The figures near the counters, the echoes in empty rooms, and the fleeting touches along the shoulders create an immersive experience that is unforgettable. Patrons remember not only the cuisine, but the subtle awareness that the restaurant is shared with something beyond the ordinary. At the end of the evening, when the lights dim and the last guests depart, Nobu remains, holding its history and the unseen presence within its walls. The faint figures, soft echoes, and cool brushes of air persist in the silence, a quiet testament to the layered nature of the space. The restaurant continues to offer luxury and culinary excellence, while also preserving the subtle mysteries that make it unique. Nobu stands as a place of refinement and intrigue. Its sleek interiors, celebrated cuisine, and understated elegance coexist with quiet, unexplained phenomena that captivate the attentive visitor. Patrons experience a space where every sound, shadow, and sensation may carry traces of the past, creating a dining experience that resonates long after the meal has ended. It is a place where the modern and the mysterious intersect, offering an atmosphere that is both luxurious and hauntingly memorable. Lupa Osteria Romana, nestled in the heart of Greenwich Village, exudes old-world charm. Its brick walls, rustic wooden beams, and soft candlelight create an inviting atmosphere that transports diners to another time. By day, the restaurant is filled with the warmth of conversation, the clatter of dishes, and the aroma of freshly prepared Italian cuisine. Yet as night falls and the crowds thin, the space reveals a quieter, more enigmatic presence that lingers just beneath the surface. Guests have reported faint whispers in Italian, soft and melodic, drifting through the dining area when no one is speaking. The sounds are subtle at first, almost imperceptible, yet persistent enough to catch the attention of attentive diners and staff. They seem to come from every direction at once, flowing along the walls and weaving between tables, creating the sensation that the restaurant itself carries the echoes of past conversations. Shadows move along the walls, appearing in corners and along hallways where light barely reaches. These movements are not abrupt or threatening, but deliberate and precise, as if unseen figures are making their way quietly through the space, only for them to vanish when looked at directly, leaving a lingering sense of mystery and presence. A ghostly waiter has been seen walking silently between tables, moving with measured steps and purpose. Patrons have watched as he glides past, carrying invisible plates or attending to empty chairs, only to disappear without a trace. This figure does not startle or frighten. Instead, he adds an eerie continuity to the restaurant, bridging the present with an unseen past. The sighting leaves an impression of a caretaker, someone devoted to maintaining the rhythm of the dining experience, even beyond the bounds of life. Even beyond the bounds of life. The architecture of Lupa Osteria Romana enhances these encounters. Exposed brick, dim lighting, and narrow hallways create pockets of shadow and depth, where movement can be easily felt but not fully seen. Sounds carry and echo in unexpected ways, amplifying perception of presence, and making ordinary activities feel imbued with subtle mystery. Each table, each booth, holds a potential for a moment that transcends the ordinary, connecting diners with the history of the space. The kitchen, a hub of life and energy during service, is another focal point for unexplained phenomena. Late at night, staff have described hearing the faint clatter of utensils, the scraping of pans, or the subtle aroma of food preparing itself. These occurrences are never harmful, but they contribute to the feeling that the restaurant continues its work in silence, guided by invisible hands that honor the traditions and routines of the place. These occurrences are never harmful, but they contribute to the feeling that the restaurant continues its work in silence, guided by invisible hands that honor the traditions and routines of the place. These occurrences are never harmful, but they contribute to the feeling that the restaurant continues its work in silence, guided by invisible hands that honor the traditions and routines of the place. The dining area itself holds layers of experience. Tables may shift slightly, chairs appear misaligned, or menus seem to move without cause. These subtle occurrences are never chaotic, but precise, as if an unseen presence is carefully maintaining the order of the restaurant. Patrons feel a heightened awareness of the space, sensing the energy of those who came before and the invisible interactions that continue to take place. Sounds play a central role in the perception of the supernatural here. Whispered phrases, the faint scrape of a chair, and even the gentle hum of footsteps contribute to the atmosphere. Each auditory cue is fleeting and elusive, creating moments of tension and wonder that engage diners and staff alike. The interplay of sound, shadow, and the warm lighting produces an immersive experience, one that blurs a line between the living and the unseen. The old-world charm of Lupa Osteria Romana contrasts with ethereal activity, creating a unique environment where past and present coexist. Patrons may arrive focused on the food and company, yet find themselves aware of subtle movements, gentle touches, or fleeting figures that remind them of the layered history of the space. The restaurant becomes a stage for both culinary art and the quiet persistence of memory. Each visit offers more than a meal. Guests carry with them an awareness of a space alive with echoes, where whispers and shadows maintain the presence of those who once occupied it. Figures moving silently between tables, voices flowing through the air, and the delicate, precise movements of unseen hands all contribute to an atmosphere that is immersive, enigmatic, and unforgettable. As the night deepens and the last diners depart, Lupa Osteria Romana remains alive with subtle energy. Shadows linger in the corners, whispers fade slowly into the walls, and the ghostly waiter continues his invisible rounds. The restaurant is a space where history and the present intersect, where memories of the past are carried forward by gentle, unseen forces, and where every visitor experiences a quiet, enduring presence of spirits woven seamlessly into the fabric of Greenwich Village. Rolfa S. German Restaurant in Gramercy is a place of warmth, tradition, and festive charm. The air is rich with the scent of spiced sausages, simmering sauces, and freshly baked bread. Twinkling lights hang from the ceiling, ornaments gleam on trees in the corners, and the wooden beams and walls are adorned with cheerful decorations. During the day, the restaurant is alive with laughter, conversation, and clinking glasses, a haven of conviviality in the heart of the city. Yet, as night falls and the last diners leave, the restaurant takes on a different character, one that is quiet, subtle, and undeniably haunted. Figures have been seen among the holiday lights, moving softly between tables and around corners. They do not approach directly, but their presence is felt in the flicker of a lamp or the sudden shadow crossing a wall. Guests who have stayed late notice the subtle shifting of chairs, the glimmer of movement from the corner of their eye, and the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The figures vanish when approached, leaving only the traces of their fleeting presence and the impression that the restaurant holds memories that continue to live within its walls. Glassware sometimes moves without explanation. Wine glasses, water tumblers, and beer mugs shift slightly across tables, as if guided by invisible hands. The movement is never violent or startling, but it is precise and deliberate, a gentle reminder that the space carries a history beyond the living. These small, unexplained gestures add to the sense that the restaurant is more than a physical space, but a vessel for the echoes of those who have passed through it. Diners occasionally feel a sudden chill or the brush of icy hands on their shoulders. The sensation is fleeting, yet unmistakable, leaving a shiver in its wake. It often occurs when the room is empty or nearly empty, heightening the awareness of unseen presence. Patrons describe the experience as both eerie and compelling, a reminder of the layers of history within the walls. The festive decor enhances the haunting effect. Twinkling lights, wreaths, and ornaments cast flickering shadows across the wooden floors and walls. These shifting patterns create an atmosphere where shadows appear to move independently, blending seamlessly with the fleeting figures and gentle disturbances that manifest throughout the night. Even ordinary objects become imbued with a sense of life, participating in the quiet performance of memory and presence that defines the space after dark. Staff often speak of the energy in the empty dining hall. The soft sounds of footsteps, the subtle creak of chairs, and the gentle hum of lights combine to create a sense of attentiveness from an invisible audience. The restaurant seems to respond to its visitors, adjusting the atmosphere in ways that are almost imperceptible, yet undeniably present. It is an environment where careful observation reveals layers of time and memory, allowing guests to sense the lingering essence of those who came before them. The bar area, with its polished surfaces and lined bottles, sometimes displays unexplained movement. Glasses may tilt, and taps may drip without cause. These incidents are never aggressive, but they carry an unmistakable sense of purpose, as if the restaurant itself is maintaining rituals from its past. Patrons report feeling observed, as though the unseen figures are attentive and quietly ensuring that the restaurant's legacy continues to resonate with the present. The interplay of light, shadow, and sound contributes to the immersive experience. Reflections in glass, the shimmer of ornaments, and the gentle sway of tree branches create a dynamic environment where ordinary perception can feel altered. And spirit. Visitors leave the restaurant carrying impressions that linger long after the meal ends. The combination of festive cheer and subtle hauntings creates an atmosphere that is both comforting and mysterious. Guests feel connected to the past, aware that the energy of those who came before still moves quietly within the space. The experience becomes more than a meal. It is a journey through tradition, history, and the gentle interplay of the seen and unseen. By morning, the restaurant returns to its daytime rhythm. Sunlight illuminates the wooden beams, polished tables, and cheerful decor, masking the subtle activities of the night. Yet the presence endures, waiting quietly among the lights, shadows, and ornaments, ready to reveal itself to those who linger after hours. Rolf S. German Restaurant remains a place where celebration and subtle mystery coexist, offering an experience that is as memorable as it is atmospheric, where every corner of the room carries a story and every shadow hints at the unseen. The restaurant stands as a testament to history, culture, and quiet intrigue. Its festive decor masks the layers of memory embedded within the walls, allowing patrons to experience both joy and curiosity. Every sight, sound, and movement contributes to the narrative, inviting guests to notice the delicate balance between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Rolf's German Restaurant is more than a place to dine. It is a space where tradition, spectral presence, and human experience intertwine, leaving an indelible impression on all who enter. Carbone sits in the heart of Manhattan, its retro Italian decor inviting diners into a space that evokes nostalgia and elegance. The aroma of rich sauces and fresh bread fills the air, blending seamlessly with the hum of conversation and the clinking of glasses. Yet, beneath this lively surface, there is a subtle energy that hints at the presence of something unseen. Figures sometimes appear walking silently through the hallways. They are glimpsed from a corner of the eye, moving with a purpose, but vanishing when fully observed. These forms are often fleeting, just enough to create a sense of intrigue, a reminder that the space holds more than the activity of its living patrons. Staff and visitors alike have reported these brief apparitions, describing them as elegant and composed, as if they belong to another era layered within the present. Cold spots form unpredictably throughout the restaurant. Patrons may feel a sudden chill while seated at their table or as they walk past certain corners. The sensation is brief but noticeable, leaving a lingering impression of presence. These cold pockets contrast sharply with the warmth of the bustling dining room, emphasizing the unusual nature of the occurrences and drawing attention to areas that might otherwise go unnoticed. A ghostly waiter is said to serve invisible meals to unseen patrons. Plates appear to move slightly, glasses tilt, and the soft scrape of cutlery on china is occasionally audible without any source. These events are subtle and never disruptive, but they contribute to the layered atmosphere, giving the impression that Carbonia's past continues to interact with the present. It is as if the energy of the restaurant remembers every meal served and every conversation shared. The architecture of the space enhances the sense of mystery. Arched doorways, narrow hallways, and dimly lit corners create pockets of shadow, where shapes can be glimpsed and vanish. Reflections from mirrors and polished surfaces shift as light moves through the room, forming fleeting images that disappear when approached. These visual nuances heighten the sense of depth and make every step feel both familiar and slightly uncanny. Even during peak hours, Carbone carries a quiet tension. The rhythm of diners, the clatter of plates, and the soft background music mix with unexplained phenomena. The whispers of movement, the sudden chill, and the subtle shift of objects create an environment that is alive with layered experience. Patrons may notice these occurrences briefly before returning to conversation, yet the impression lingers, adding a dimension of intrigue to the dining experience. The impression lingers, adding a dimension of intrigue to the dining experience. Corners and alcoves often hold the most activity. Tables near the edges of the room may see plates shift or glasses tilt. Shadows gather and stretch in ways that suggest presence, and small sounds emerge where none should exist. These moments are immersive, encouraging diners to observe the surroundings more attentively, noticing details that blend the ordinary with the extraordinary. Light and shadow play a crucial role in shaping perception. The glow from overhead fixtures reflects on polished surfaces and casts gentle patterns across floors and walls. Shadows lengthen and shift with the passage of diners and staff, forming shapes that seem to move independently. These effects enhance the atmosphere, creating a cinematic quality where every glance can reveal something unexpected. The interaction of sound, sight, and sensation forms a complete experience. Subtle shifts in plates, the scrape of cutlery, and cold spots combine to engage multiple senses at once. Patrons experience a layering of perception, where each moment feels connected to both the present and an unseen past. The restaurant transforms into a space where time overlaps, and where unseen forces seem to move alongside living guests. Even quiet moments are charged with energy. A lone diner may sense a presence nearby, feel a draft, or glimpse movement in a shadowed corner. These experiences are fleeting but memorable, leaving a subtle impression of the unseen. The atmosphere is not threatening, but compelling, creating a sense that the restaurant holds stories beyond those visible. The layering of history and environment is central to the appeal of Carbone. Each small occurrence, a plate moving, a shadow shifting, a cold spot forming hints at the continuation of past activity within the present. Guests become participants in a space that remembers, where the energy of former patrons and staff seems to linger, shaping the experience in subtle but meaningful ways. The energy of former patrons and staff seems to linger, shaping the experience in subtle but meaningful ways. Walking through Carbone is a journey of observation. Every step, every glance, every sound contributes to a sense of narrative. The ordinary act of dining is transformed into an encounter with history and presence, where layers of the past interact with the present in quiet, enigmatic ways. Patrons leave with impressions that linger, shaped by these small but striking interactions. Carbone remains a space where elegance and mystery coexist. Figures glide silently through hallways. Plates shift without touch, and cold spots appear unexpectedly. These experiences are never overtly frightening, but they are captivating, inviting diners to reflect on the unseen layers of the space. The restaurant's charm lies in its ability to merge comfort with subtle intrigue. Shadows, sounds, and sensations form an understated narrative that engages the imagination. Patrons become aware of a presence that is not immediately visible, a reminder that history, energy, and memory are embedded in the very walls and floors of the restaurant. Each visit may reveal small, inexplicable moments. Carbone offers a dining experience that transcends the ordinary, where each visit may reveal small, inexplicable moments. Patrons become aware of a presence that is not immediately visible, a reminder that history, energy, and memory are embedded in the very walls and floors of the restaurant. Carbone is more than a place to eat. It is a location where the ordinary and the mysterious coexist, where guests become aware of unseen layers of activity, and where the past and present intertwine seamlessly. Each visit offers an immersive, cinematic experience, leaving a lingering impression of subtle spectral charm that continues long after leaving the restaurant. Pegu Club in Soho is a cocktail bar renowned for its craft drinks, warm ambience, and intimate setting. Patrons gather around tables, laughter and conversation filling the air. Yet amid the sophistication and comfort, the space holds an undercurrent of mystery, subtle traces of presence that have persisted over time. Visitors sometimes hear conversations from the corners of the room. Words are faint, murmured in a tone that is clear yet impossible to locate. When diners turn to see who is speaking, they find empty spaces, chairs unoccupied and tables untouched. The voices fade as quickly as they appear, leaving behind only a sense of intrigue and a lingering impression that the bar is never truly empty. Glassware occasionally tips over without reason. A cocktail glass may sway slightly before falling, or a small decanter slides along a polished surface as if nudged by an unseen hand. These events are brief, subtle, and never destructive, yet they capture attention and spark curiosity. Patrons pause to watch and listen, aware that the ordinary laws of movement do not fully explain what they have seen. Shadowy figures sometimes glide along the walls without making a sound. These fleeting glimpses are enough to make the hair on the back of the neck rise, creating a sense of layered presence within the elegant space of the bar. These fleeting glimpses are enough to make the hair on the back of the neck rise, creating a sense of layered presence within the elegant space of the bar. The interior design enhances the feeling of subtle mystery. Rich with paneling, mirrored surfaces, and dim lighting create corners and recesses where shadows gather. Every reflection, every flicker of light, holds the potential to reveal movement just beyond perception. Patrons become more aware of the environment, noticing nuances in sound and light that might otherwise go unnoticed. The atmosphere is immersive, balancing sophistication with an almost imperceptible sense of the extraordinary. Even during peak hours, when laughter, conversation, and music fill the room. Laughter, conversation, and music fill the room. Voices from empty corners, swaying glassware, and silent figures are woven into the daily rhythm of the bar. These experiences are never threatening, yet they heighten awareness and invite reflection on the history and energy of the space. These experiences are never threatening, yet they heighten awareness and invite reflection on the history and energy of the space. Even during peak hours, when laughter, conversation, and music fill the room, the unusual phenomena persist. The history of Pegu Club contributes to its unique ambience. Established as a destination for craft cocktails and social gatherings, it has welcomed generations of patrons, bartenders, and staff. The subtle phenomena may be echoes of those who have moved through the space, impressions of routines, conversations, and gestures preserving the energy of the bar. The presence is layered, blending seamlessly with the vibrant life of a modern social space. The interplay of light, sound, and shadow creates moments of cinematic tension. Reflections on glass surfaces reveal movement just beyond perception. Faint murmurs float through empty corners. Shadowy figures glide silently along walls. Patrons notice subtle touches in the atmosphere, small changes in temperature or energy that suggest an unseen presence. These elements transform the ordinary into something immersive and unforgettable. Quiet periods amplify the sensations. When the bar slows and fewer patrons remain, every sound and movement becomes more pronounced. Glasses clink faintly, shadows stretch longer, and the soft whispers of invisible voices become clearer. Visitors may feel a subtle pressure in the air or the fleeting impression of movement just beyond sight. These moments encourage deeper attention to the environment, revealing the delicate balance between ordinary activity and subtle, unexplained phenomena. The experiences at Pegu Club are not intended to frighten, but to engage. Patrons describe a heightened awareness of their surroundings, a feeling that the space is alive with history and energy. Conversations from unseen corners, tipping glassware, and silent figures combine to create a multi-sensory encounter that is immersive and captivating. The bar becomes more than a destination for drinks. It becomes a place where the present intersects with the past, and where unseen traces of life linger in the atmosphere. As the evening winds down and the last patrons depart, the faint voices, the occasional movement of glassware, and the lingering shadows remain a subtle reminder of the layered history and presence within the space. Pegu Club continues to offer elegance, warmth, and exceptional service, while quietly preserving the enigmatic qualities that make it unforgettable. Pegu Club stands as a unique blend of luxury and mystery. Its sophisticated interiors and celebrated cocktails coexist with subtle, unexplained phenomena that capture the imagination. Patrons leave with memories not only of the flavors and atmosphere, but also the intangible presence that inhabits the space. It is a place where shadows, whispers, and fleeting movement converge with everyday life, creating an experience that lingers long after the lights dim and the doors close. Keen's Tavern, located in the heart of Manhattan, is a historic space that carries the weight of centuries. Its dark wooden beams and dimly lit interiors evoke a sense of old-world charm, a place where stories of the past linger in the air. By day, the tavern hums with the activity of diners enjoying classic meals, the clink of glasses, and the low murmur of conversation. Yet, as night falls and crowds disperse, the atmosphere shifts, revealing a presence that few notice during daylight hours. Guests have reported seeing shadows at tables, moving silently between chairs and corners. These figures are fleeting, glimpsed in the corner of the eye, often vanishing when observed directly. They are not threatening, but their sudden appearance leaves a lingering sense that the tavern holds more than just memories. Each shadow seems purposeful, as if replaying moments from the past, quietly observing the living as they enjoy their meals. The scent of cigar smoke is another recurring phenomenon. Patrons have noticed the aroma drifting through the room with no apparent source, blending with the faint traces of old pipes and the lingering smell of aged wood. The smoke does not overwhelm, but it carries with it a sense of presence, a whisper from another time. It adds a layer of depth to the atmosphere, connecting the physical space to the echoes of those who once frequented the tavern. Footsteps echo along empty corridors and upstairs rooms, startling those who hear them. The sound is precise and measured, often appearing at times when the tavern is quiet and nearly deserted. There is no one visible, yet the rhythm of movement suggests an unseen figure moving with intention. Staff and visitors alike describe the sensation as both eerie and oddly comforting, as the tavern maintains a quiet guardianship of its own history. The design and layout of Keen's Tavern contribute to these experiences. Each table, chair, and staircase becomes a stage for subtle manifestations, or feel a presence brushing past in the quietest moments. The tavern's history amplifies the sense of lingering presence. Keen's has hosted generations of diners, some of whom left their mark in ways that are now intangible but perceptible. The stories of the past are carried in the architecture, the furnishings, and the ambient energy that permeates every corner. Visitors often feel connected to a narrative that extends beyond the immediate, a continuum of life and memory that the building preserves in its own subtle way. Late-night staff have described tables rearranging themselves slightly, chairs nudged out of alignment, and the faint clink of utensils when no one is present. These occurrences are never violent or chaotic, but deliberate, as if unseen hands are maintaining order or engaging in small rituals. Diners and employees report a heightened awareness of the environment during these moments, a sense that the tavern itself is alive in ways not immediately visible. Sounds play a crucial role in shaping the atmosphere. The echo of footsteps, the distant murmur of conversation, and the subtle creak of floorboards create layers of auditory intrigue. Each noise is amplified in the hushed environment, lending weight to perception of unseen activity. Patrons describe a feeling of being enveloped by the history of the tavern, where every sound carries a trace of past presence and contributes to the immersive experience of the space. Keen's Tavern is more than a historic restaurant. It is a living repository of memory. The shadows, the scent of smoke, and the echoing footsteps all converge to create a space where the past and present coexist. Guests may arrive for a meal, yet leave with a deeper awareness of the layers of life that have unfolded within the walls. Each experience, whether through sight, sound, or scent, forms part of a continuum that links the living to the echoes of those who came before. Even when empty, the tavern exudes presence. Shadows linger in corners. The faint smell of cigar smoke drifts through the air, and footsteps continue their measured rhythm along empty hallways. The space feels watched, yet not threatened, offering a quiet intimacy with history. Patrons and staff become participants in an ongoing story, a dialogue between the living and the unseen that persists in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. Keen's Tavern invites those who enter to witness the blend of tangible and intangible, where each shadow, sound, and scent contributes to a sense of continuity across generations. The building itself serves as a vessel, holding and preserving moments, memories, and energies that are both fascinating and enigmatic. It is a place where history is palpable, where the ordinary act of dining is intertwined with the extraordinary, and where the presence of the past can be felt with quiet intensity. As night deepens and the last lights dim, the tavern remains alive with subtle activity. Shadows continue to move, the scent of smoke lingers, and the rhythm of unseen footsteps persists. Keen's Tavern is not just a place to eat. It is a space where history, memory, and presence converge, offering visitors an immersive and hauntingly beautiful experience, a gentle reminder that the past never truly leaves. Frances Tavern Museum stands at the corner of Pearl Street in Manhattan, a building steeped in history and lingering memories. Its brick walls and heavy wooden beams have witnessed centuries of life, from colonial gatherings to the birth of a nation. During the day, the museum is alive with tourists, historians, and school groups, tracing the stories of revolutionary America. Yet as evening falls and the last visitors depart, the atmosphere shifts, carrying with it a presence that is both subtle and persistent. Figures in old colonial attire have been seen wandering the hallways and rooms. They move with purpose, sometimes pausing near displays or staircases, and vanish when approached. These apparitions are not threatening, but carry an undeniable sense of time displaced. Their appearance evokes the echo of life centuries past, a reminder that the tavern was once a hub of conversation, planning, and community. Guests often describe the feeling of being observed, as if these figures maintain a quiet vigil over the spaces they once frequented. Whispers of past patrons sometimes drift through the hallways. The sound is faint, almost blending with the natural creaks and sighs of the old building, yet unmistakably human. Visitors have paused mid-step, listening to these echoes, only to realize that the hallways are empty and the sounds emanate from the very walls themselves. Cold drafts pass through the museum, brushing against the necks of those walking the halls. The drafts are never harsh, but they are noticeable, particularly when the building is quiet. Staff members have described the phenomenon as a constant companion, a subtle reminder that the history of the tavern continues to resonate in the present. The architecture of Frances Tavern amplifies the haunting presence. Low ceilings, polished wooden floors, and narrow passageways create spaces where sound and movement echo differently than expected. Footsteps seem to linger longer in certain rooms, and reflections in the polished surfaces occasionally reveal shapes that do not belong to the living. The interplay of light and shadow transforms a familiar museum layout into a stage for subtle, mysterious activity that draws the attention of the observant visitor. Some of the most compelling experiences occur near the staircases and old dining rooms. Figures are reported pacing quietly, adjusting objects on tables, or simply standing as if observing an event that unfolded centuries ago. These moments are brief but leave a lasting impression, a reminder that the tavern holds the imprint of countless lives and interactions. Guests often feel a connection to past, a sense that they are witnessing history not just through displays, but through the lingering presence of those who once inhabited the space. The combination of sounds, movements, and temperature shifts contributes to an immersive experience. Whispers, footsteps, and creaks blend with the sight of fleeting figures, and the sensation of sudden chills to create an atmosphere that is alive with memory. Visitors describe the feeling as walking alongside history, where the ordinary exploration of a museum is enhanced by subtle interactions with the unseen. The Taverna's presence is never overwhelming, but it is constant, a quiet companion to those who choose to observe closely. Even during public hours, attentive guests notice signs of the past threading through the present. Chairs may shift slightly, candles flicker without cause, and the faint echo of a conversation seems to follow from room to room. These small occurrences are never threatening, but suggest a continuity of life and spirit. The building becomes more than a museum. It is a vessel for the energy and memories of generations, preserved in wood, brick, and the careful curation of history. The Musuma's Tavern rooms, once filled with the aroma of cooking and the chatter of patrons, retain an almost tangible presence. Guests describe a sensation of sitting where revolutionaries once debated, feeling a quiet awareness of those who occupied the space before them. The cold drafts, whispers, and fleeting figures are gentle reminders that time layers itself in unexpected ways, allowing moments of connection between past and present. Each encounter, however subtle, reinforces the depth of the taverna's historical and spectral significance. By nightfall, the tavern settles into silence. The shadows stretch across walls and beams. Yet the presence endures, waiting quietly among the old furniture and staircases, ready to reemerge for those who linger after hours. Visitors leave with a sense of awe, aware that the Frances Tavern Museum is not merely a collection of artifacts, but a living repository of memory, energy, and history. Frances Tavern continues to captivate those who enter, offering a unique experience where historical education intertwines with subtle haunting. Its figures, whispers, and drafts serve as gentle reminders that the past is never truly gone, echoing in the spaces, waiting to be noticed by those who pause and observe. The museum becomes a bridge between centuries, inviting guests to witness the interplay of history, memory, and quiet mystery, and to sense the living spirit of Manhattana's revolutionary heart. The Dead Rabbit sits nestled in the heart of Manhattana's financial district, its historic walls steeped in the energy of centuries past. The bar's low lighting casts long shadows across polished wood and brass fixtures, creating a space that feels both inviting and mysterious. Patrons are drawn by the warm ambience and reputation for excellence. Yet beneath the surface, there's a subtle presence that hints at a world beyond the ordinary. Shadows sometimes move behind the bar, shifting independently of the staff. Bartenders have noticed forms lingering just out of reach. These movements are brief and fleeting, yet enough to create a sense that the space is alive with more than just its living occupants. Patrons may catch glimpses of these shadows from the corner of their eye, leaving a lingering sense of intrigue. Glasses occasionally clink or topple without reason. The sound is sharp and precise, echoing across the room in moments of quiet. There is no breeze, no human hand, yet the activity occurs with a rhythm that feels intentional. These incidents are subtle, yet they resonate, creating the impression that the bar retains echoes of past gatherings and conversations. Figures are sometimes seen seated at tables, conversing or enjoying a drink, only to vanish moments later. These apparitions are never threatening, yet their sudden disappearance leaves a marked impression. Guests recount these experiences with curiosity and fascination, noting how the figures often seem dressed in attire from a different era. The presence is both a reminder of history and a playful, enigmatic element woven into the atmosphere. The bar's architecture contributes to the sense of mystery. Exposed brick walls, wooden beams, and ornate fixtures form alcoves where shadows gather and shapes linger. The lighting plays across these surfaces, creating patterns that shift with the movement of people and objects. Mirrors reflect the room in ways that occasionally reveal figures not present, adding to the layered, cinematic quality of the space. Even during busy hours, the energy of the bar feels unique. The hum of conversation, clatter of glassware, and soft background music mix seamlessly. Sounds emerge from areas with no apparent source, and cold spots appear near corners or behind tables. Patrons may notice these occurrences briefly before returning to their drinks. Yet the impression remains, enhancing the sense that the Dead Rabbit holds secrets beyond its visible reality. Corners and secluded areas are often the sites of activity. Tables tucked away in shadowed sections may witness glasses moving slightly, or figures appearing and fading. These moments are brief but striking, encouraging guests to pay attention to details in a way that ordinary dining or drinking does not. The energy of the space feels layered, as though past and present coexist quietly alongside each other. Light and shadow create a dynamic environment. Fixtures cast soft illumination across polished surfaces, producing subtle reflections that sometimes seem to form shapes. Shadows stretch and twist in ways that suggest motion, forming impressions that vanish upon closer inspection. This interplay of light, shadow, and reflection heightens awareness and creates a sense of immersion, making the bar feel alive in ways that extend beyond the ordinary. Sounds are particularly significant in shaping perception. The clink of glassware, the shuffle of footsteps, and the occasional thump of a falling object occur without direct cause. These noises engage the senses and suggest presence, forming a rhythm that overlays the normal activity of the bar. Patrons become attuned to these subtle cues, noticing patterns and anomalies that add depth to their experience. Even brief solitary moments hold weight in the space. A guest seated alone may feel a gentle shift of energy, notice a cold draft, or glimpse movement near a table. These experiences are never threatening, but they are memorable, creating a sense of connection with the unseen layers of the bar. The Dead Rabbit's atmosphere balances the familiar with the mysterious, making every visit unique and compelling. The layering of history, architecture, and subtle phenomena gives the bar its distinctive character. Plates and glasses, shadows and reflections, all combine to form a continuous narrative. The experiences of guests contribute to this living story, as each perception adds to the sense of presence and history embedded in the space. Walking through the Dead Rabbit is a cinematic experience. Every glance, sound, and reflection contributes to a sense of narrative. Ordinary actions, such as raising a glass or passing by a table, become moments of awareness, where the unseen seems to brush against the visible. Patrons leave with impressions that linger, subtle yet compelling, shaped by layers of activity both apparent and hidden. The bar is more than a place to drink. It is a location where shadows glide silently, glasses move without touch, and figures appear and vanish, creating an environment alive with layered presence. Guests experience a space where history, memory, and subtle phenomena intersect, crafting an experience that is immersive, mysterious, and unforgettable. The Dead Rabbit offers an atmosphere where curiosity is rewarded, and awareness of the unseen is heightened. Shadows, sounds, and fleeting figures form a narrative that unfolds quietly yet persistently. Patrons leave with a lasting sense of intrigue, a reminder that even in the bustling heart of Manhattan, some places carry echoes of stories that are never fully visible but always present. Every visit to the Dead Rabbit is an opportunity to witness the extraordinary woven into the ordinary. The combination of design, activity, and unexplained phenomena creates a unique environment where the past and present coexist. Patrons become part of this ongoing story, experiencing a space that is rich in history, atmosphere, and subtle spectral presence, leaving impressions that endure long after the evening ends. The Palm in Manhattan is an elegant steakhouse known for its fine dining, classic decor, and lively atmosphere. Dark wood paneling, polished tables, and soft lighting create a warm and inviting environment. Patrons enjoy rich aromas of grilled meats and fresh ingredients, the clink of glasses and cutlery providing a familiar soundtrack to the evening. Yet beneath the sophistication and charm, the restaurant holds secrets that linger quietly, shaping the experience in subtle, unsettling ways. Some guests feel touches on their shoulders, light and fleeting, as though someone stands just behind them. When diners turn to see who is there, they are met only with empty space, unoccupied chairs, and the calm of a well-lit room. These moments are brief yet memorable, leaving the impression that the restaurant is shared with presences that move silently among the patrons. Footsteps echo along the walls, soft but deliberate. The sound travels across polished floors, passing through empty corridors and dining spaces without visible source. Patrons occasionally pause, listening carefully, try and pinpoint the origin of the steps, only to find that the room is still and undisturbed. These subtle echoes create a sense of life within the building beyond the ordinary, a rhythm that exists independently of the restaurant's daily activity. In some cases, visitors have seen figures carrying plates silently between tables. The apparitions move gracefully, their actions precise, as a continuing routine that was familiar long ago. The apparitions do not interact with the living diners, yet their presence is unmistakable. The plates remain balanced in hands that are only partially visible or fade entirely into the shadows. These visions are fleeting, leaving observers questioning what they saw, while the air retains a faint sensation of someone passing nearby. The interior design of the Palm enhances the mysterious atmosphere. Rich textures, reflective surfaces, and corners bathed in shadow create spaces where movement can be easily concealed. Subtle lighting highlights the grain of wooden panels and the shine of polished tables, making shadows shift as guests move through the dining area. Every flicker of light, every reflection, carries the potential to reveal something just beyond ordinary perception, drawing attention to the layers of presence within the restaurant. Every flicker of light, every reflection, carries the potential to reveal something just beyond ordinary perception, drawing attention to the layers of presence within the restaurant. Even during the busiest hours, the unusual phenomena persist. Footsteps, fleeting touches, and glimpses of figures weave into the normal rhythm of service. Staff and diners alike report a heightened awareness of the space around them, a sense that the restaurant is not entirely empty, that unseen entities share the environment. These experiences are never aggressive, instead creating a quiet curiosity, an acknowledgement of history and continuity that coexists with daily life. The history of the Palm contributes to its layered presence. As a long-standing landmark of Manhattan dining, it has hosted generations of patrons, chefs, and staff. The subtle manifestations that visitors report may be echoes of routines, gestures, and moments from the past, preserved in the energy of the building. The restaurant becomes more than a place to eat. It transforms into a space where past and present intersect, where the ordinary is tinged with traces of memory and presence. The interplay of light, shadow, and sound gives the space a cinematic quality. Reflections on polished wood and glass reveal glimpses of movement that may not exist in the physical world. Faint footsteps carry through empty halls. Figures appear and disappear with no discernible pattern. Patrons notice subtle shifts in the air, the occasional brush of a presence nearby. Each moment contributes to the immersive atmosphere, drawing diners into a narrative that exists alongside their ordinary experience. Quiet periods in the restaurant heighten these sensations. When the last patrons have departed and the clamor has faded, every small sound and movement becomes more noticeable. A chair may shift slightly, a step may echo down a corridor, or a faint figure may appear at the edge of vision. These moments emphasize the layered nature of the space, encouraging attentive visitors to experience the restaurant as a place alive with history, energy, and subtle phenomena. The Palm leaves a lasting impression on those who dine there. Guests remember not only the food and ambience, but the sense that the restaurant is shared with something beyond the ordinary. The fleeting touches, silent footsteps, and shadowy figures create a multi-sensory encounter that lingers long after the meal has ended. Patrons are left with a feeling of connection to the building's history, aware that it contains stories and presences that continue quietly in the background. As the evening concludes and the lights dim, the echoes of footsteps, the occasional touch on a shoulder, the faint figures persist in the calm, a subtle reminder of the unseen layers within the space. The restaurant remains a destination for culinary excellence and refined elegance, while simultaneously preserving the quiet mysteries that make it unique and unforgettable. The Palm stands as a place where elegance and history coexist with subtle, unexplained phenomena. Its warm interiors, celebrated cuisine, and attentive service blend seamlessly with the presence of lingering figures and quiet echoes. Patrons leave with memories of both taste and atmosphere, aware that the restaurant holds more than what can be seen, offering an experience that resonates long after the final course is served. The Nomad restaurant, tucked in the heart of Manhattan, exudes an air of elegance that blends seamlessly with whispers of the past. Its opulent interiors, adorned with dark wood, gleaming chandeliers, and plush furnishings, create an atmosphere that is both inviting and mysterious. By day, the restaurant is a lively gathering place, filled with the murmur of conversation, the clatter of silverware, and the rich aroma of gourmet dishes. Yet as night settles in and the crowds thin, the Nomad reveals another side, one that carries the weight of history and lingering presence. Guests often report soft whispers echoing through the hallways and dining areas, voices that seem to emerge from the very walls themselves. These whispers are subtle, almost indistinguishable from the normal sounds of the restaurant, yet they leave a sense of unease, a feeling that the space is alive in ways beyond the ordinary. Patrons sometimes glance around, expecting to see another diner, only to find the room empty, the voices fading as mysteriously as they arrived. Tables move slightly without explanation, a gentle shift that is almost imperceptible, yet unmistakable to those paying attention. Chairs may scrape lightly across the polished floor, or a glass might tilt, responding to an unseen hand. These small movements do not frighten, but they do captivate, inviting guests to sense the invisible presence that watches over the dining rooms. The energy feels attentive, as if the restaurant itself maintains a quiet ritual of care and observation. Shadowy figures have been glimpsed gliding past tables, dressed in old-fashioned clothing reminiscent of a bygone era. They move with deliberate grace, their actions subtle and fleeting, sometimes carrying the illusion of serving invisible meals to empty chairs. These figures do not interact with guests directly, yet their presence is unmistakable. Diners feel the weight of history surrounding them, a bridge between the present and the echoes of those who once walked the same halls. The layout of the Nomad enhances these experiences. High ceilings, arched doorways, and private alcoves create pockets where shadows gather. And sounds linger. Reflections and mirrors sometimes reveal fleeting forms that vanish. The combination of light, space, and architecture makes every corner a stage for the mysterious, where the ordinary act of dining intersects with moments that feel otherworldly. Staff members have shared accounts of subtle, inexplicable occurrences. A patron sits alone at a table, eyes closed, sensing the invisible energy that inhabits the space. A table may reset itself slightly after a party leaves, or silverware may appear aligned in a pattern that seems too precise to be accidental. Patrons often report a heightened awareness in these moments, sensing the invisible energy that inhabits the space alongside them. Sound plays a pivotal role in shaping the atmosphere. The soft hum of the restaurant, the echo of footsteps in hallways, and the occasional clatter of a utensil all combine to create layers of auditory intrigue. Even in the absence of visible movement, the space feels animated, alive with subtle signals of past lives and lingering presences. Each sound carries a weight, a reminder that the history of the Nomad is interwoven with the present moment, resonating with those who listen closely. The Restaurant-esque history enriches the experience of haunting. The Nomad has welcomed countless visitors over the decades, each leaving traces in the collective memory of the space. Guests are often unaware of the depth of history beneath their feet, yet the environment communicates it through gentle cues, fleeting shadows and whispered sounds. It is as if the restaurant itself is a custodian of memory, preserving and replaying echoes of the past, for those willing to perceive them. Late-night diners and staff alike have described moments when the presence becomes tangible. A chair may rock lightly as if someone had just left it, or a shadow may pass along the edge of vision. There is a rhythm to these occurrences, subtle and measured, never chaotic. Patrons often feel an unspoken connection to those who came before, a shared experience that spans generations and bridges time. The visual and sensory elements of the Nomad work together to create an immersive atmosphere. The scent of aged wood, fine linens, and lingering perfumes mixes with the faint aroma of meals. Guests often feel enveloped by this layered environment, sensing that every detail of the restaurant is part of a continuum of life, memory, and presence. Even in moments of quiet, the Nomad is alive. Shadows drift along hallways and dining areas. Whispers echo faintly through empty rooms, and tables subtly shift as if adjusting for unseen guests. The atmosphere is not menacing, but deeply engaging, inviting patrons to notice the subtleties of the space, to feel the presence of history, and to contemplate the layers of existence that coexist within the restaurant. The Nomad restaurant offers more than culinary delights. It provides an encounter with time itself. Patrons experience an intersection of elegance, history, and unseen presence, where each shadow, whisper, and gentle movement contributes to an overarching narrative. The restaurant becomes a living museum, a space where the past and present merge seamlessly, allowing visitors to witness the subtle dance of memory and energy that animates the hallways and dining rooms. that animates the hallways and dining rooms, allowing visitors to witness the subtle dance of memory and energy that animates the hallways and dining rooms. As the evening draws to a close and the last diners leave, the nomad does not sleep. Shadows continue to glide. Whispers linger in empty spaces. An invisible energy that inhabits the restaurant maintains its quiet vigil. It is a place where history, elegance, and the supernatural converge, offering an experience that is both refined and mysterious, leaving every visitor with a sense that the past is never truly gone, and that the nomad continues to hold its stories close, silently watching and endlessly present. Thank you, my friend, for joining me tonight, as we dine among spirits, shadows, and ghostly waiters. 25 restaurants, 25 haunted kitchens, and countless stories of guests who felt they were never truly alone. Next time you enter a restaurant, pay attention to the corners, listen to the whispers, and be aware. Sometimes the servers never leave, and the guests never truly finish their meals. Sleep well tonight, if you can.